link up, baby. You just hit my line for the wind down. There's only one thing on my mind when you come around me. I get lost in where you found me. Want you to use me. You let her confuse me. Don't wanna hide the fact that you make me feel that way. Want you to give me play. I see it in your eyes, you're lonely. Come put that body on me. I hit it right, I will. I treat you right, I will. Trust me, I got you, baby. Know how to make you feel. They can't do you like I will. Nobody do you like I will. I hit it right, I will. I treat you right, I will. Trust me, I got you, baby. Know how to make you feel. They can't do you like I will. They can't do you like I will. Like I will.
I treat you right, I will.
I treat you right, I will.
Trust me, I got you, baby. Know how to make you feel. I treat you right, I will.
I treat you right, I will.
Trust me, I got you, baby. Know how to make you feel.
I hit it right, I will. I treat you right, I will. Trust me, I got you, baby. Know how to make you feel. I hit it right, I will. I treat you right, I will. They can't do you like I will. Like I will. Pick up the phone, little baby. You got me up and I'm wavy. You know I want you to myself. You know you've been driving me crazy. Looking me right in the eye and tell me it's mine. If not, I'ma make it that way. You know I want you in a major way. I bless that body, make you share your grace. I've been trying to get you face to face. Fall through and give you ways to waste. I do what it takes. I make them walls sing on your heartstrings. Say your
I treat you right, I will. I treat you right, I will.
Trust me, I got you, baby.
Know how to make you feel. I treat you right, I will.
I hit it right, I will.
Trust me, I got you, baby.
Know how to make you feel.
Trust me, I got you, baby. I treat you right, I will. Trust me, I got you, baby. Know how to make you feel.
Yo, what up, y'all? It's your boy Rob coming back at you once again with another live stream. So before we get started, you already know what to do. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit the bell icon twice. Smash the like button, share this video out to all of your followers, and let's get it cracking. All right, so shout out to everybody in the building. Hopefully everybody is starting their day off great. Hopefully you got a nice cup of coffee. If you're one of those, if you're one of those people that like to smoke with your coffee, I'm not mad at it. Hopefully you had that. You know what I'm saying? You might be driving or whatever. Hopefully everything is all good for you, and hopefully it just gets better as the day goes on. You know what I'm saying? That's what we aiming for. That's what we aiming for. All right. Shout out to everybody who's in the building. If you guys can hear me okay, y'all know what to do. Please give me a thumbs up or a radiation emoji in the chat. If you guys cannot hear me or see me for any reason, please give me a thumbs down or an angry face. While you guys are doing that, I'm going to shout out everybody who is in the building early. All right. Shout out to Brooklyn Queen. Y'all already know she in here enforcing the likes early. Make sure y'all throw some like enforcers in the chat for Brooklyn Queen. Shout out to my man DC Precise. Shout out to Miss Niecy. Good to see you, Miss Niecy, as always. Shout out to my man Cameron Jones. Shout out to Catsy, as always. Shout out to Catsy. Good to see you, as always, Catsy. Shout out to Deneen. Good to see you, Deneen. We got Tedra Mitchell in the building. Shout out to you, Tedra. Good to see you, as always. We got my man Jerry Bedford in the house. Shout out to Jerry Bedford. Good to see you, bro. Make sure y'all show Brooklyn Queen some love. We already started it off right. Standing on business for 12 months, man. That is what is up. Let me ask you guys something. Gotta ask you guys this. When you guys are on YouTube and you're wandering around in the YouTube streets, how many 12 and 24-month members do you see in people's chats? You don't see as many anywhere as you see here, even though our chat is not as big as other people's. You see more 12 and 24-month members. That means something. Would you guys agree? If you guys agree, that means something. Then let me know. But for now, Brooklyn Queen standing on business.
I'm standing on business. I'm standing on business. I'm standing on business.
Shout out to Brooklyn Queen. Definitely appreciate it. Who else we got up in Cha? Shout out to my man Vincent Harper, another individual that's been around forever. Shout out to Mama Zeke. Mama Zeke been around forever. Shout out to you, Mama Zeke. Good to see you. Shout out to Miss Niecy with the off-rip ducats. Definitely appreciate it. As always, Miss Niecy. Make sure y'all show Miss Niecy some love. Always showing love. Funding the organization. Let's get it.
How do you think that we fund this organization, huh? We're not exactly the March of Dimes.
Cash rules everything around me. Green, get the money. Dollar, dollar bill, yo.
Hey, you gotta be from Cleveland or you gotta be from the Midwest to understand why that's just so hilarious. Gotta get that money, man. You gotta understand. You know what I'm saying? You gotta understand. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Alonda. Definitely appreciate you, Alonda. Make sure y'all killing it off rip. I appreciate y'all. Make sure y'all show some love, throw some flames, some radiation emoji, and some ducks in the chat for Alonda for the $2 super sticker.
This is the hardest record out.
Get the money, y'all. There's poor people around.
I'm rich, biatch! How do you think that we fund this organization, huh? We're not exactly the March of Dimes.
How do you think that we fund this organization, huh? We're not exactly the March of Dimes. Yo, I got to get the drop. I got to get the one from, what was that, Blade 3? When Blade was like, you trying to rock with me or whatever, talking to his homeboy, and his homeboy was like, nah, bruh, and I'm going to catch the rest on CNN. I got to get that drop. I'm going to catch the rest on CNN. That was hilarious, man. Anybody that's seen, I forget if that was Blade 2 or Blade 3. Anybody that's seen that and know exactly what part I'm talking about, when he had picked up that extra bottle of serum and he was like, hey, that's the best I can do, bro. I'm going to catch the rest on CNN. Man, that was hilarious, man. Shout out to John Guillory. What's good with it, bro? And shout out to Black Spider. Shout out to Torian. Torian said, I didn't care for Blade Trinity. Yeah, man. I liked all the Blade movies because they all had Blade and because they all had Wesley Snipes. I thought 1 and 2 were the best. Actually, I thought 1 was probably the best. 2 was okay. And 3, it just seemed like they made 3 just to make 3. And the only reason why it was able to carry was because it was a Blade story and Wesley Snipes was in it. And he, as always, did an amazing job playing Blade. But if it wasn't for that, I don't think there really would have been much. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Black Spider. Make sure you guys show Black Spider some love. I definitely appreciate it. Throw some flames, some radiation emoji, and some ducks in the chat for Black Spider.
Silence! Silence! I ain't got no money, pa.
Get the money, y'all. There's poor people around.
I'm rich, biatch! How do you think that we fund this organization, huh? We're not exactly the March of Dimes.
Shout out to Jay Cage. What's good with it, bro? All right, so what we about to do is we're going to talk about some migrant stuff. We're going to ask the question, what does a Harris-Walz border look like? That's my question. Yeah, I actually saw that. Shout out to PD That Remains. I actually saw that, Alonda. Shout out to Alonda. Make sure y'all show Alonda some love. Throw some flames, some radiation emojis, some ducks in the chat for Alonda standing on business.
Get the money, y'all. There's poor people around.
I'm rich, biatch! How do you think that we fund this organization, huh? We're not exactly the March of Dimes.
Cash rules everything around me. Green, get the money. Dollar, dollar bill, yo.
Shout out to David Brown. What's good with it, bro? Alonda said, Rob, Wesley Snipes' Blade is in the new Deadpool. Yeah, they had all the throwback characters. They had Elektra, Jennifer Garner, she was in there. They had Blade in there as Deadpool. Or I mean, they had Blade, they had Wesley Snipes in there as Blade. Deadpool crazy. Deadpool got issues, man. That boy Deadpool, man. I don't know who got more issues, that boy Deadpool or that boy Cobra Commander. I don't know, but Deadpool got some serious issues. He need a couch and some quality time from a therapist. For real. He's damaged. You know what I'm saying? He's invincible, but damaged, if that makes any sense. You know what I'm saying? So we about to take a look at this Justice for Jocelyn Act. All right. And they got it in the news, sit up here talking about it targets illegal immigrants. Now, this situation took place in Texas, if I'm not mistaken. My question is, how many people are familiar with the Jocelyn story? I talked about it very briefly. You know, we might have spent like 10 or 15 minutes on it during like a 5-hour stream, because you know how we do. You know what I'm saying? So, Justice for Jocelyn Act. We're going to take a look at this and see what they're talking about. Because remember, while nothing is being said about this, immigration is still a huge issue that has not been addressed. All right? Immigration is still a huge issue that has not been addressed.
We're seeing the same thing over and over again. Another person murdered. Another woman raped. Another child brutally assaulted. And the pattern in every one of these that is happening day after day after day is these are crimes committed by illegal immigrants who were apprehended and who the Biden-Harris administration chose to release.
Now, that's what's interesting about this, right, is that Ted Cruz down there in Texas, he's so upset about the Biden-Harris administration releasing these migrants. But one thing that they're not outraged about is Greg Abbott sending those migrants to a bunch of black cities and releasing them there. What do you guys think about that? I think that that's interesting. I think if you're going to be outraged, be consistent with your outrage. But there's never any consistency with the outrage, ever. It's only outrage when it harms a particular demographic in a certain fashion. It's never universal outrage. Yeah, shout out to Torian. Yep, you absolutely have been saying that, bro. And I agree. I agree 110%. These guys are just using this as a political stunt. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to the Democrats and when it comes to the Republicans, the whole thing for them is a political stunt. Meanwhile, cities are being decimated. Crime is increasing. Taxpayer dollars are just being spent frivolously on nothing. And everybody's sitting there acting like, you know, democracy hangs in the balance. Bah! You know what I'm saying? Nothing's hanging in the balance. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to JD Informant and shout out to Win Lose a Rug. What's good with y'all? And shout out to everybody that's watching. Speaking of which, I appreciate each and every one of you all for being here. If you all have not hit that like button yet, please take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you all have not hit that bell, please take a moment, hit that bell, and also please share the stream to your social media. We got 35 people watching now. That's amazing. We got 29 likes. Let's try to get the likes to 60.
Texas Senator Ted Cruz announcing his filing of the Justice for Jocelyn Act. I don't have to remind anyone here that Jocelyn Nungary was the 12-year-old Houston girl sexually assaulted and strangled by a pair of undocumented Venezuelan predators.
Now, pay very close attention to the demographic. These are undocumented Venezuelans. Undocumented Venezuelans.
Who were released into our country after crossing illegally. Senator Cruz has learned that release of these murder suspects occurred despite the availability of more than 3,000 beds in ICE detention facilities.
Now, let me ask you guys this question. Why are there people who are screaming and yelling and outraged and flailing their arms all over the place, upset in saying that we're using right-wing talking points if people have a problem with this? Let me ask you guys this question. Is Eric Adams using right-wing talking points? Because he's, you know, he's not as outraged as he should be. But it's obvious that he's tired of the migrant crisis. Is he using right-wing talking points? What about Dr. Claude Anderson? Was Dr. Claude Anderson using right-wing talking points? So you're not being accepting if you don't want this to happen to your child. It's xenophobia and anti-immigrant if you simply want people to be monitored and to come in through legal means so that we can screen out people who will commit crimes like this, or at least use the best available information to try to do so. That's a right-wing talking point. That's right-wing. Last time I checked, cutting government spending was right-wing. Privatizing things is right-wing. So all of these people that say abolish ICE, all of these people that say defund the police, isn't that right-wing? Let me ask you guys a question. Is abolish ICE and defund the police right-wing? Which also exposes the hypocrisy of the right wing. Because the right wing is against big government until it comes to policing non-white people, or until it comes to organizations that divvy out money to legacy businesses. Would you guys agree? Shout out to the specialists. If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down.
Suspects occurred despite the availability of more than 3,000 beds in ICE detention facilities. Cruz's legislation would require the undocumented remain in federal custody unless or until there is absolutely no space to house them in custody. Senator Cruz's measure has drawn the full support of Harris County's Democratic District Attorney.
It will make us safer. And because crime is bigger than partisanship.
Okay, so now see, Ted Cruz, right, is a Republican. His bill or his act that he's proposing is being backed by this woman named Kim Ogg, who's a Democrat and a Harris County District Attorney. Now, this isn't something that you see out in the open very often, unless it's something harmful to black people, like a crime bill or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Jay. Jay says, that happened way too close to my neighborhood, shaking my head. And yet I can go to any Home Depot and a parking lot of workers will be available. Ted Cruz is up for re-election. That's his motivation. Yeah, I agree. If you guys agree with Jay, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down. Shout out to Torian. Torian says, my dad can't stand Ted Cruz. I bet. I don't think there's very many black people that can stand Ted Cruz. Even black people that are like on the right, you know what I'm saying? Black people that lean to the right, you know what I'm saying? I really never see anyone championing Ted Cruz. I just don't think he's likable. I don't think he's really likable. I don't think a lot of people like him. You know what I'm saying?
Democratic District Attorney.
It will make us safer. And because crime is bigger than partisanship. You know, if justice for Jocelyn had already been the law of the land, there's a good likelihood that Jocelyn Nungare would be alive today.
Panel, I agree with Kim Ogg's assessment. This is common sense legislation, but I fear it's doomed because approval is recognition. The Biden administration dropped the ball.
So now here's my question for you guys. As you guys see on the local news here on Fox 26, the news anchor here is saying that the Biden administration dropped the ball. Now, two questions for you guys. The first question is, do you agree with the news anchor that the Biden administration dropped the ball? Second question, when discussing running for president, is the ball dropping of the border something that Kamala Harris should be forced to acknowledge and discuss? Let me know.
And a little girl paid with her life. I'm going to start with you, Holly. I mean, this seems like something we could all agree on. If there's space, they should go there, not cut loose.
Absolutely. And, you know, and let's keep in mind, too, that occurred this year. It's not something that happened a few years ago. Both of those men were apprehended in Texas in 2024. They were not detained, even though there were beds available.
Shout out to the specialist. The specialist says, yes, absolutely. I agree. If you guys agree with the specialist and me, throw some flames in the chat. If you all disagree, then give me a thumbs down and let me know why you disagree. Shout out to Black Spider. Black Spider said, why did they cherry pick one killing and propagandize it? Black people got a lot of damn cherries and they don't pick one of them. Facts. Facts. Super facts. And I'm gonna let you guys in the comment section answer Black Spider's question, because y'all know we got an answer for it. We know why, right? So let's get it out there. Why? Because this is a case in point.
They released them with GPS ankle monitors that were turned off at some point. They didn't even have plans for keeping track of them ultimately. So, I mean, it just defies common sense. And this is the problem that we have. We have people coming across the border. We're not vetting them. We have no agreements with Venezuela to check criminal histories. We have heard, and Troy Nehls, congressman, was also at this press conference. He's been trying to get answers from the Biden administration as to rumors that we have people being released from Venezuelan prisons and being sent to the southern border.
So now, again, remember when we talked about this a couple of days ago, and we did that fact check, and they said that this was a false statement that Trump made. Do you guys remember that? So now they're mentioning this on the local news. Now, we saw the content and the topics, right? The articles about the prison releases and the crime decreasing down in Venezuela. So now here's my question. How is this being brought up on local news if it's false? Shout out to PD That Remains. PD That Remains says, yes, ×2. And to Black Spider's point, there was a black girl who was savagely beat, but no fanfare or rebuke. Facts. That took place in Chicago, if I'm not mistaken, right? That took place in Chicago. Shout out to Win Loser Rug. Win Loser Rug said, to Black Spider's question, I think it was to shake up parts of the Hispanic community that were okay with illegal immigration. That's a good point, Win Loser Rug. That definitely could be. Shout out to Alonda. Alonda said the black equivalents to Jocelyn occur every day, yet no one in the corporate media mentions it. Facts. Now, here's my question for everybody in the comment section. Why is that? Why is that?
And Troy Nehls, congressman, was also at this press conference. He's been trying to get answers from the Biden administration as to rumors that we have people being released from Venezuelan prisons and being sent to the southern border. They're coming across. We don't know much about these men. This, again, it's just common sense. Kudos to District Attorney Kim Ogg, who has been a law and order Democrat. Say what you will about, some of the aspects of the Democratic Party, but she has been very consistent on protecting public safety, and this is a key issue.
Seti, I want to get your take on this.
Yeah, no, I agree with this legislation. Of course, more detention center while they're being vetted and really looking at the background and the history, if they're connected to prison systems or ex-convicts from the previous government, they should be treated just like prisoners here.
Now, here goes my question. How do you find out any of these things if these people are undocumented? See, like, this is the thing that it seems like, I don't know if people are forgetting about or if, people are just ignoring or what, but how do you do these vetting operations if these people are indeed undocumented? You don't have any documents to run any kind of background check on. So how do you do these things if these people are undocumented? Which is one of the reasons why they probably need to get sent right back to the place where they have documents at, which is the country that they're from. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Win Loser Rug. Win Loser Rug said, after watching Defiant Lawyers channel and cruising through the comments, I realized a lot of folks ain't fear mongering. These MFs are really fearful. Yeah, absolutely. I would agree 110%. If you guys agree with Win Loser Rug, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down.
But also, what's interesting is that back in the 70s, I believe, when Cuba released all its prisoners, they were well accepted in Miami, and we didn't have all of this type of, political rhetoric. It's unfortunate that this tragedy happened, and we have to stick to the law and make sure that those folks are punished. But to keep in mind that these are from Venezuela. A lot of folks thinking these are Mexican immigrants, but they're not. They're from Venezuela. So we have to make sure that that is clarified, and also we have to make sure that let's not.
Hey, did he just delineate? I'm just curious. Did he just delineate? He must be Mexican. Did he just was that a delineation that we just saw?
Mind that these are from Venezuela.
Now, is anybody calling him divisive? Is anybody calling him divisive? Is anybody calling him any type of asset? COINTELPRO to try to sow seeds of division in the Latino community? Is that what's going on here? Where is the 100 decibel screaming for him doing this? Where's the Dr. Umar? Where's the Dr. Umario Johnsino to say that we're all one Latino people? Huh. Interesting. Okay.
The 70s, I believe, when Cuba released all its prisoners, they were well accepted in Miami, and we didn't have all of this type of, political rhetoric. It's unfortunate that this tragedy happened, and we have to stick to the law and make sure that those folks are punished. But to keep in mind that these are from Venezuela. A lot of folks thinking these are Mexican immigrants, but they're not. They're from Venezuela. So we have to make sure that that is clarified. And also we have to make sure that let's not continue to use this tragic story for political purposes.
All right. So there's that. All right. So next, what I want everybody to do is I want you guys to just take a look at this. Oh, hold on. I just messed it up. Hold on real quick. Let me see if I got it. Let's see. Hold on. I gotta get it back. Hold on. I want you guys to just enjoy this amazing mouth open picture with me for a minute. Isn't that great? Isn't that great? We're gonna check out some videos on Tren de Agua, because remember we talked about them the other day. Tren de Agua. They just happen to be a Venezuelan prison gang. Now, they've said that the people, and shout out to FBA B1 Duddy. What's good with it, bro? They said that the people that are coming over from a lot of these different places are not, they're not from prisons. But if they're not from prisons, then how is the prison gang able to become so prevalent and organized? Just all agape. Facts. Shout out to Patrick. What's good with it, Patrick? Shout out to Caldona. Shout out to Brooklyn Queen for the 10 ducats. Make sure you guys show Brooklyn Queen some love. Throw some flames, some radiation emoji, and some ducks in the chat for Brooklyn Queen for funding the organization.
How do you think that we fund this organization, huh? We're not exactly the marching dimes.
This is the hardest record out.
Silence! Silence! I ain't got no money, pa.
Brooklyn Queen says, with all this technology, the U.S. can't access the mugshots from their arrest records and use facial recognition at the border. They clearly don't want to. That's an excellent point, and that's facts. That's an excellent point, and that's facts. Exactly. With all the technology, come on. Come on. Now, here's my question. Where are all the Tren de Agua members coming from? How are they in such large concentrations that they're able to group up and organize? What do you guys think about that? Because remember, Tren de Agua is a prison gang. It is a prison gang. But remember, it's a false claim if we say that these are prisoners coming. So let's check this out real quick.
U.S. officials are on high alert as a notoriously violent prison gang is spreading from coast to coast. Tren de Aragua, or TDA, was born out of Venezuela in a prison and has been linked to crime like this jewelry store heist in Colorado.
I mean, it's just wild. How many people saw this ransack? They just literally just that. If you've never seen something get actually ransacked, that was a live action ransacking. If you never had a visual of what the word ransacking means or looks like, that was an actual ransacking that just took place right there.
U.S. officials are on high alert as a notoriously violent prison gang is spreading from coast to coast. Tren de Aragua, or TDA, was born out of Venezuela in a prison and has been linked to crime like this jewelry store heist in Colorado. News Nation obtaining a memo warning law enforcement that an estimated 1,000 TDA members have been given the green light to attack officers.
So as you guys can hear, here's the question: who gave them the green light? That means that somebody from up top, like an OG or somebody that's highly respected or highly ranked in their organization, gave them a green light or some type of permission to be able to just attack police, right? Would you guys agree? So now here's the question. Who is the higher up that gave them this permission? Who's the person that did that? And shout out to everybody that's watching. We got 40 people watching. We got 38 likes. Let's try to get the likes to 80. If you haven't smashed the like button yet, take a moment, smash that like button. If you haven't hit the bell and subscribe to the channel, take a moment, hit the bell. If you haven't shared the stream, take a moment, share the stream. And also, if you're not a part of the Discord, hit that link that's pinned in the chat and join the Discord. Shout out to Jesse. What's good with you, bro?
News Nation's Alicia Nieves joins us now live from New York, where these gang members have actually shot at police. Alicia, how widespread is this gang?
Yeah, Anna, good morning. This is a violent Venezuelan gang. It's infiltrated U.S. cities across the country from coast to coast, becoming more brazen and organized, according to authorities. In just the last 2 months, we have had at least 3 major incidents on the West Coast and here back on the East Coast. Just this past week, as a matter of fact, authorities have linked a member of Tren de Aragua's gang members to a violent June jewelry heist in Denver. In nearby Aurora, Colorado, the gang is accused of taking control of a local apartment complex, using it as headquarters of their operation. And
I mean, how do you take over a whole entire apartment complex? Look at the wild stuff that they're doing. Look at the wild stuff that they're doing. Shout out to FBA B1 Duddy. FBA B1 Duddy says, our people better get on point and tool up and be ready to defend ourselves and our people. If they clapping at 12, then you know that they will come at us. Yo, that's facts. If y'all agree, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down. And I got to agree with the specialist. Law enforcement allows it. Facts. The fact that sanctuary cities basically have made these people untouchable, that is literally the idea of a sanctuary, is literally law enforcement allowing it. That is the epitome of law enforcement allowing it. Would you guys agree?
Gang members to a violent June jewelry heist in Denver. In nearby Aurora,
shout out to Mo
Colorado,
Facts. What's good with it, bro?
Is accused of taking control of a local apartment complex, using it as headquarters of their operation. And the footage you're seeing in a second here actually shows.
Y'all got me dying laughing in the comment section. Yeah, they took it over like the Cash Money gang. You know what I'm saying? They took it over. They not the Cash Money gang, though. They the Pale Peso gang. They took over the Carter like the Pale Peso gang.
Is accused of taking control of a local apartment complex, using it as headquarters of their operation. And the footage you're seeing in a second here actually shows lawyers, or what lawyers representing several apartment complexes say is the gang seizing control of these apartment complexes, leading to gang violence and numerous code violations. Now, throughout the country, police departments, as you noted a moment ago, warned that the gang leaders have given members in the U.S. the green light to shoot officers. And unfortunately, that memo coming after an incident happened already here in New York City in June. As you said a moment ago, 2 NYPD officers were shot by a man living out of a migrant shelter.
And we're going to talk about migrant shelters as well, because I don't know if people are aware, but there have been some drastic issues that are going on in New York City with the migrant shelters. There's been some major changes. Mayor Eric Adams came out and said something about it. There was a press conference that was done. There was a city council meeting. And there was a news segment that was also done on the ridiculousness that's going on in Gotham City. All right. So we're definitely going to be checking that out later. And let me ask you guys this question. When Kamala Harris finally decides to start accepting interviews or to start taking interviews, when this is brought up, what do you think her explanation will be? That's my question. What do you think? What do you think the explanation will be? Let me know.
That man, Bernardo Raul Castro Mata, after his arrest, actually identified himself as a member of Tren de Aragua and allegedly told police that he crossed the U.S. border, came to New York, and when he got to the shelter in the city.
Yeah, I gotta agree. Shout out to Patrick. Patrick says, notice how Americans don't care. They also don't care about the $1 trillion plus spent on these illegals. Now let the government say they're going to give blacks a single orange Tic Tac and they fly into a rage. Bro, they fly into a rage. A Tic Tac? Oh my goodness. My breath is bad too. How did anybody alive today make your breath bad? You know what I'm saying? Next thing you know, they have critical breath theory. You know what I'm saying? That's anti-white hatred. You say that our ancestors had wooden teeth and stinking breath. You know what I'm saying? It's anti-white. You know what I mean? You go into all of that. Matt Walsh will make a video. You know what I'm saying? Right. My breath is bad too. Pull yourself up by the bootstraps. Use your own fluoride. Use your own Listerine. It's available. It's at Walmart. You know what I'm saying? Just a victim. You're just a victim. You know what I'm saying? They're so dumb. They're so dumb. Listen, man, let me tell you something. I would never shave my head with the same set of instruments that's used to shave my pet. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying. God. Like, come on, man. Like, stop it already. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Michael Pedro. Michael Pedro says, you should people call in on your show. Do you mean I should have people call in on my show? I would have people call in on my show. The only problem is a lot of times when I'm streaming, for one, I don't have a lot of time. Like, I'm always on a time crunch. And most times when I'm streaming, I got a lot of stuff that I want to talk about. So I've pre-calculated how much time it takes to get this stuff done. You know what I'm saying? I was thinking about actually doing like follow-up shows where like I just do a whole stream and then it'll be immediate follow-up show afterwards. And the follow-up show will be a call-in show. And then at the same time, though, I don't know, because like sometimes people can't be trusted. Like the first thing that they'll do when they get on StreamYards is like say something to put your channel in danger. You know what I'm saying? Like, shout out to my man KO Kid Fit down there in the comment section. Somebody tried to like hit us like that on Reacts, and on Reacts we didn't ever put the stream public. You know what I'm saying? We put the link in the Discord. So, you know what I'm saying? I don't be feeling like dealing with that. And then like people, you know, they start talking crazy, and you know what I'm saying? Like I don't be feeling like dealing with that. I don't want to deal with, like I'd be hanging up on too many people. What do you guys? I'll let you guys make the determination. I was thinking about like maybe what I was thinking about actually, right, is because like I said, I want to expand the show. I want to like improve some things. Like I want to get like some more equipment. I want to like upgrade my computers. I'm actually going to redo my my studio. I got these plans. Not a lot of time, but I got these plans, right? So I was thinking of like making a goal, like, you know what I'm saying? Like if we get a donation goal of like, I don't know, like $200 a stream or something like that. Every stream that we make, you know, $200 on, we would do a follow-up call-in stream. Now, the thing is with the follow-up call-in stream, I will put the follow-up call-in stream on another channel, like I said, because I'm paranoid like that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to have somebody calling in acting crazy and that ruining, you know what I'm saying, my other channel. And I'm not saying that anybody, like, you know, the regular people would do that. You just get these people that are random and crazy, you know what I'm saying? And you got to compensate for them too. So I would set up another channel for the call-in. And the call-in would maybe last about, it'd be like I don't know, maybe like 2 hours or something like that. You know what I'm saying? What y'all think? Let me know. If that's a good idea and y'all like that sounds good, then throw some flames in the chat. If y'all don't like that, it's a bad idea, then be like, nah, we just keep it how it is. Let's keep it how it is.
The 19-year-old was recruited by the gang to commit robberies and even given a gun. Now, Castro Mata also told investigators that gang leaders actually have been instructing a lot of their members here in the U.S., especially here in New York City, to bring guns into shelters. And they're able to do so relatively easily by utilizing food delivery services because food is not scanned through the security system at these shelters. So this is obviously a growing concern, not only here in New York City, but again, across the country from the West Coast to the East Coast. We do know federal agencies are on this and trying to work with local officials to curb this growing gang activity.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like if that's the weak spot, they need to start scanning the food trucks then as they're coming through. Alicia, thank you so much.
So, yeah, I guess they need to start scanning the food trucks. All right, so now next what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at these next two videos that are also about Tren de Agua, because Tren de Agua sounds extremely they're extremely dangerous. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to be funny, man, but they sound like even more dangerous than MS-13 was at the height of the MS-13 prominence. You guys remember when they used to talk about MS-13 all the time? Like they sound, like these guys are unhinged. These are the type of gangs, type of criminals that harm kids. You know what I'm saying? They got to do something about this. This is going to be an issue. We're gonna get to there. We're gonna get here later, but this is a issue that has not really been discussed by a lot of politicians. A lot of politicians are not really discussing this. Now, Trump will go on a tangent and end up here, right? He'll go on a tangent and end up here. But really all he says is mass deportations. And then like there's really not any machinery behind what he's talking about. I'd like to hear more about the plan, and so I can make my own judgment on whether it seems feasible or not. I want to know if we're being sold a line of BS or not. You know what I mean?
The violent Venezuelan prison gang known as Tren de Aragua has made a name for itself in the United States. And just in the last couple of days, Homeland Security Investigations has sent out a memo to its staff stating that there are direct threats to police in local areas of the United States. That includes Denver as well as Albuquerque. Now, these threats are, quote, to green lights attacks on cops and shootings of cops. The memo, which went out this week, cites, quote, credible human sources from Colorado that have made the information available to law enforcement. And the source of the memo is from the Chicago Homeland Security.
Now, I think it's interesting how she specified credible human sources. Are we getting information from, I don't know, like some other source besides humans? Is that needed to be specified? Check this out. Listen.
The memo, which went out this week, cites, quote, credible human sources from,
quote, credible human sources. Like, is this Men in Black? We got to specify that we getting sources from humans or not? Okay.
To green lights attacks on cops and shootings of cops. The memo, which went out this week, cites, quote, credible human sources from Colorado that have made the information available to law enforcement. And the source of the memo is from the Chicago Homeland Security Field Office, where authorities say that there is already a presence of the violent gang. Now, many of its members have been known to come into the United States in recent years, with Border Patrol only tracking their movement since March 2023. There have been about 70 encounters of Tren de Aragua members at the border. Now, in addition to that, they've done a huge recruiting efforts in places like New York City and Chicago, as well as other sanctuary cities like Denver now. Denver has received about 42,000 migrants.
Right. Yeah, the robot's acting up today. They can't be trusted today, so we gotta go holler at some people. Like, what? Okay.
In the last couple of years, and that's the most per capita out of any U.S. city. The ways that Tren de Aragua members are known to come into the United States is by infiltrating the southern border, and that's their main route. However, they've been sneaking in and getting past local authorities and their vetting procedures. And this is because they're not getting tattooed.
Now, again, and not to mention, not only are they not getting tattooed or none of that, they don't have no documents, and they just rounding these people up. And when they grab them people up, they bring them over the border, and then they release them into the United States. They release them into the United States. It's almost harder. Look, check this out. Let me ask y'all this question. What's more difficult, to get released into the United States or to get released outside of the United States by Border Patrol? Which one is less likely to occur?
We've been sneaking in and getting past local authorities and their vetting procedures. And this is because they're not getting tattooed and any of the markings that show they're members of the gang until they're in the United States. Border Patrol sources tell us they can't really do thorough vetting of Venezuelans in general because the Venezuelan government doesn't share information on its own citizens with the U.S. Further complicating matters, really difficult to remove them from the United States, so deportations are very minimal and only to Mexico for Venezuelans. And Mexico only accepts a few of them. They really don't accept the huge amounts that the U.S. would need to deport. The Biden administration has recently designated Tren de Aragua as a transnational criminal organization, and it's offered large...
So, like, check this out. If the Biden administration is designating them as a transnational criminal organization, then within that same designation, why is the Biden administration still, for the most part, allowing so much illegal immigration from Venezuela? Like, if they know that these people are coming from Venezuela, the likelihood of a Tren de Aragua member coming would decrease if they decrease the amount of Venezuelan intake that they have. Would you guys agree? If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down. And shout out to everybody that's watching. I really appreciate you guys being here. If you all haven't smashed that like button yet, please take a moment, smash that like button. We got 41 people watching. We got 42 likes. Let's try to get the likes to 80. All right. If you guys haven't shared the stream, take a moment, share it to your social media. And also, if you have a Discord and you are active on Discord, hit that link that's pinned in the chat and join our Discord. And if it don't work, make sure you say something in the comment section and one of the mods will get you the link.
Large amounts of money for the hunting down of its leaders. In the United States, several of the gang's members have been tied.
Facts, bro. That's exactly what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. So why would we accept people from a country that won't even share the people's basic info? And on top of it, this is the exact same country where we know a violent criminal gang originates from. All of these elements all point to common sense, saying maybe we need to screen Venezuelans more thoroughly, and maybe we need to reduce the number of Venezuelans that we have come in. Like, I don't see, like, that should be common sense.
I do prominent crimes, including last month's shooting of 2 NYPD cops by a Venezuelan migrant who's tied to the gang. That migrant later admitted to being tied to the gang and also getting tattoos for the gang in the United States after he arrived from the border. He also later admitted that in New York City, migrant shelters are hubs for gun smuggling for the gangs, which are using food.
Y'all see this? Now, keep that in mind. In New York City, migrant shelters are hubs for gun smuggling. All right, looks like, if I'm not mistaken, this is the Roosevelt. This is the Roosevelt. This is the 5-star hotel that most of us would never be able to spend the night in on New Year's Eve in Manhattan and have a great time that they get to go to for free. I didn't know about that, Jesse. I'm gonna have to check that out. And I usually check on the Denver stuff too. Shout out to Greets. What's good with it, bro? Okay. Shout out to KO Kid. We're gonna get a nice boxing video from KO Kid Fit. I do these undocumented bro videos for my man KO Kid Fit, so we can really get that aggression in the KO Kid Fit boxing instructional videos. You know what I'm saying? That's the true reason why I do them. Shout out to you, bro. I appreciate the super chat. Make sure y'all show KO Kid Fit some love. Throw some flames, some radiation emojis, some ducks in the chat for KO Kid Fit.
How do you think that we fund this organization, huh? We're not exactly the marching times.
Cash rules everything around me. Green, get the money. Dollar bill, yo.
Silence. I ain't got no money, pa.
Silence.
New York City, migrant shelters are hubs for gun smuggling for the gangs, which are using food delivery bags to bring in their guns to the shelters.
Now, see,
in January,
and this is what I was talking about. See, this is why I was calling them migrant mobiles. This is why I call them little bikes and them little motorcycles migrant mobiles. Remember Jadakiss said, and they in the hood like them little motorcycles. Remember Jadakiss said that? And we in the hood like them little motorcycles. Remember when Jadakiss said that? Who remember when Jadakiss said that? We be in the hood like them little motorcycles. Look, there they go. They go them little motorcycles. They got a basket of apples, bananas, mangoes, and 45 calibers. You know what I'm saying?
And their guns to the shelters. In January, the gang is also believed to be tied to the assault on NYPD cops in Times Square. It appears that the gang has been operating strongholds in areas like New York City and other sanctuary cities across the United States.
Listen, I don't know if anybody's seen. Listen, let me tell you something. Let me tell y'all something. How many people saw that video where we talked about the Venezuelan prison? Y'all remember that? They had the people running. They was down running like it was Mission Impossible. Do y'all remember that? And the police and the correctional officers all look like Beachhead from G.I. Joe. If you seen what goes on in that prison looked like Arkham Asylum, except for the fact that the prisoners was running it. They've escaped a lot of them from that prison and are coming to the United States. Yeah, they had them down there in their underwear, basically cattle prodding them and had them all on just on the move, just running. The ones that aren't in jail are a lot of the ones that are crossing the border. Y'all need to watch a video on a Venezuelan prison to understand the mentality of these people. You will have a new appreciation for that jewelry store ransacking that we watched earlier. If you see what goes on in the prisons.
And law enforcement across the country are being warned to remain vigilant about their activities and potential attacks on cops.
All right, so there's that. All right, yeah. So they got a green light to attack law enforcement. All right, now here's the question: what's law enforcement going to do about it? In most cases, when law enforcement is met with aggression, they don't really do too much. If anything, they run the opposite direction. The only time police officers actually aggress is when they're dealing with somebody who they can delete without consequences, which is in most cases one of us. But anytime somebody can shoot back, y'all remember when Bruce Lee said, "Boys, don't hit back." You guys remember that? Who was he saying that to? Bolo? Did he say that to Bolo or did he say that to O'Hara? I can't remember who he said it to, but he said it. That's how the police are. You know what I'm saying? The police like to hit the boards and look tough. You know what I'm saying? You think I'm gonna get in trouble for like AAPI hate crime? You know what I'm saying? Doing Bruce Lee's voice like that? Boy, don't hit back.
And tonight, federal agents here in the U.S. and in Colorado and New York are watching their backs tonight. It's because News Nation is reporting a violent Venezuelan gang is giving the green light to shoot at agents. It's a gang known to have crossed the Texas-Mexico border, and tonight we're asking the experts if they're still here and if the unrest over there could send more gang members to hide among the real families who are fleeing the violence.
I mean, this is insane.
Watching their backs tonight because
I mean, I didn't mean to do that, but that's insane. I mean, immediately when they cut to the scene of what is going on there, immediately something is being incinerated. Ridiculous. You're going from 0 to 100 real quick. Now, here goes my question. How come the national news isn't talking about this? I want to ask you guys seriously. CNN, ABC, MSNBC, CBS, right? These are the national news networks, right? Printed networks, New York Times, you know what I'm saying? Washington Post, all these different places, right? Have you all heard them talking about this? Remember, I told you guys this a long time ago. I was one of the first people talking about the migrant crisis, and I will probably be one of the last people talking about it because people ain't really doing videos about the migrants no more. The YouTube algorithm ain't favoring them. But remember, I was doing videos about this stuff when the YouTube algorithm wasn't favoring it from the beginning. You know what I'm saying? So it's still here. It's still an issue. What happened to the coverage on it? What happened to the coverage on it? See, that's the question.
As News Nation is reporting, a violent Venezuelan gang is giving the green light to shoot at agents. It's a gang known to have crossed the Texas-Mexico border, and tonight we're asking the experts if they're still here and if the unrest over there could send more gang members to hide among the real families who are fleeing the violence. The political unrest in Venezuela and gang violence has innocent people caught in the crossfire, and some are preparing to flee their homes for a chance at the American dream.
So the influx that we're seeing of
I just want y'all to just look at this part right here. Look at this part right here.
Has innocent people caught in the crossfire.
I want to know what's going on there, where you're casually shooting a pump action shotgun. I'm about to just buck this shotgun, like just casual pump action. You know what I'm saying? What's going on there that's that bad that you're doing that? Because usually you kind of don't do that. Usually, like the people that have like more rapid fire, more accurate guns, you know what I'm saying? That you can aim a little bit better. Those will be the people shooting, and like, you know, you kind of take out like a larger or a widespread threat with a shotgun. But my man just sitting up here, like, just, you know what I'm saying? Like, boom, 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 boom. Like, what? What's going on there? And he's so casual with it. Like, yeah, I'm just chilling here. Boom, boom. Let me shoot a couple shots every now and then. Like watch.
And gang violence has innocent people caught in the crossfire.
Like he like on a video game or something. like he playing a video game or something. Look at this. This looks like a homeless shelter right here. But this is actually like in the city. This looks like a war zone. This looks like Grand Theft Auto The Nation. Man, that's crazy.
Some are preparing to flee their homes for a chance at the American dream.
So the influx that we're seeing of more and more people coming out of Venezuela trying to get to the United States is very simple. It's because America has a functioning democracy and justice system, and Venezuela does not.
Dr. Andrew Smith, an assistant professor of political science at UTRGV, believes that's what's happening.
The attitude is if you can get out of Dodge and come to the United States, try to get out of Dodge and come to the United States.
But federal agencies believe hidden in the huddled masses are the wolves in sheep's clothing, like members of the dangerous Tren de Aragua gang, known by federal investigators to commit sex trafficking, debt bonding.
Now, look at this. I want you guys to see. Did y'all see the reward amounts for these people? Just imagine how dangerous these individuals got to be if the reward amounts are this high. Look at the award amounts. They got the $5 million award, $4 million award. What's interesting about it is they don't even have a description of the guy that's for $3 million. He should be $5 million, since you got to even figure out who he is, because they don't even have no description for him. That's wild. Shout out to everybody watching, man. I appreciate you guys. If you all haven't hit the like button yet, please take a moment and hit the like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, please take a moment and hit that bell. And also, please share the stream to your social media.
Debt bondage, kidnapping, traffic cocaine and pills. And if you try to expose them, they'll kill you and post it online. The gang's leaders reportedly giving the green light in New York and Colorado to shoot at law enforcement. With El Paso being a known area, members have crossed.
Yeah, if it's in New York and Denver, I'm fairly certain that it's here in the Rio Grande Valley.
National Border Patrol Council spokesperson Chris Cabrera suspects just because the gang is based in northern states, their criminal network makes them a threat anywhere.
Yeah, they have a similar interest. They don't have for instance, a cartel may farm out some work to a local gang, whether it be here or in El Paso or wherever. And just because they have the manpower, they know the area, they have the resources to carry out whatever task it is that they need them to carry out.
Yeah. So just because the presence isn't there doesn't mean that the interest isn't there.
Yeah, exactly. And smuggling of persons and smuggling of drugs is big business. It brings a lot of money. So a lot of people want to put their hand in that cookie jar.
Now, we're going to talk about some of those drugs in other streams. Okay, so keep in mind the drugs. All right, because we're going to be talking about the drugs very soon. All right. I'm trying to figure out how to organize the information and, you know what I'm saying, continue with a steady flow of it. But we definitely going to be talking about the drugs. We definitely going to be talking about the drugs. Yeah, shout out to Patrick. Patrick says, black folks going to catch hell with these people. WS been trying to destabilize the black community in ATL for years. This may be what they need. Dump those illegals on top of us. Yeah, I would agree. If you guys agree with Patrick, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. Shout out to Jesse. Jesse says, yep, and Johnston told them how to get to Denver too. So they just come up Interstate 25 from El Paso. Yeah, you if you watch some of my old videos where they interview them coming off of the bus, a lot of them be like, Denver. You know what I'm saying? I want to go do Denver. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't even know nothing about Denver. What are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? Like, third world country you was from, you was a Broncos fan or something? Like, stop it. Stop lying. You know what I'm saying? You don't even know nothing about Denver. You sit up there talking about Denver. Like, man, if you don't go somewhere, you know what I'm saying? Turn around and walk back. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Deneen. Deneen says Americans should be demanding action. I agree. And now is the perfect time to demand action with two desperate candidates attempting to get attention and votes. So here's my question. How should Americans demand action? That's the question. Shout out to the specialist. The specialist says, so we are supposed to believe some of the border control agents aren't on the take. Oh, they absolutely are, bro. Oh, they absolutely are. Absolutely. I think I've done videos about some of them. I know for a fact TD has a couple videos about some of the border patrol people who have been caught, you know what I'm saying, taking dirty money. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And tonight, there was a major bounty on the heads of the gang. Right now, the Biden administration is setting aside $12 million in rewards.
How many people know about this? Man, you don't hear about this stuff. The Biden administration set up $12 million in rewards, offers for information leading to arrest and or convictions of 3 leaders of the Tren de Agua transnational criminal organization. Biden got $12 million for you. Biden got $12 million for you. Now, didn't they tell you they ain't got money for other stuff, but they got $12 million for you to give them information on an immigrant that they took into the country without any information. Like, somebody make that make sense.
For information leading to the arrest and or the convictions of the 3 leaders of the Tren de Agua transnational criminal organization. Now, this is a joint effort between the Colombian National Police and the FBI, and they're encouraging people to go to their nearest FBI office or Colombian embassy or consulate's office to get some leads on tracking down the gang leaders.
All right, so there's that. There's that. All right. So you haven't really heard too much about it, right? But there's still a migrant issue going on in Massachusetts. Okay. There's still a migrant crisis issue going on in Massachusetts. So now what's going on in Massachusetts is that there are now deadlines for migrant shelters. Families are going to start receiving eviction notices. Do you guys remember when in New York and in Chicago, the families started receiving eviction notices? Man, people started losing their minds. Do y'all remember that? It was going down.
Tonight, dozens of migrant families are facing uncertainty after being told they must leave their shelters by this coming Friday. The first round of eviction notices are part of the state's new strict rules on shelter stays for migrants. Boston 25's Drew Caritas is live outside the State House tonight, where the governor's office says notices went to families who have been in shelters the longest, Drew.
Kale, a spokesperson here at the governor's office, tells us verbal and written eviction notices have been given to a total of 57 migrant families, and more are on the way. We've learned that nonprofit providers got on an urgent conference call this afternoon to share their concerns about an incoming wave of migrants who are now steering clear from the state's overflow shelters altogether, because what will happen if they get into one? The first round of eviction notices have given dozens of migrant families until this coming Friday, August 9th, to exit the state's 4 overflow shelters.
So now here's my question. Once these eviction notices get realized and it's time for the migrants to be out of there, my question for you all is, what happens next? What trends do you think we will see then? Now, when it comes to a lot of these areas, a lot of these places that have migrants, what do you all think that the general consensus is? How are people feeling about this? You guys think that the people of Massachusetts, the people of these areas are thrilled? Are they happy? Is this something that they like, or are they mad? Yeah. Shout out to my man DC Precise. Facts.
Tie this bitch up. Swing the remix guard. I'll tear this bitch up. Tie this bitch up. I will. Tie this bitch up. I will. Tie this bitch up. I'll tear this bitch up.
Yeah, man, that's what they're gonna do. They bust through that gate. You see how she popped up out that chair? They bust through that gate the same way, except for they got the Joker accent. Oh, I did his beat job. I did his beat job.
Tie this bitch up. Swing the remix guard. I'll tear this bitch up. Tie this bitch up. I will. Tie this bitch up. I will. Tie this bitch up. I'll tear this bitch up.
Shout out to Deneen. Deneen says Kamala will expand this madness. Now that's interesting, right? Somebody has recently said that she has, quote unquote, changed her position on immigration. Now, I'm not exactly sure what she's changed it to, right? But remember, when it comes to the president is a package deal with the vice president. So I've done 3 videos that go in depth. The 3 videos go in depth about Tim Walz's immigration policy. Now, let me ask you guys this question. Say, for instance, Tim Walz is in charge of immigration. We have to ask the title question again. What does a Harris-Walz border look like?
Which the state is now calling temporary respite centers. Migrant stays are not only limited to 5 days from here on out, but the state now says families who stay in the temporary respite centers can't get placement in the emergency shelter system for at least 6 months.
They're not going into the respite centers because they know that they'll be ineligible for emergency assistance. We're going to see lots of people on the streets. That's what we're going to see.
We showed you these images last week of migrant families spending the night outside Boston Medical Center.
Now, one thing that they're doing is that a lot of the migrants that are not utilizing the shelter system, or the migrants that are working around the shelter system, they are also double dipping and receiving homeless benefits as well. And we already have a suffering homeless population. That was the basis of the Box Bros videos that I just haven't had a chance to do. Okay. That's the basis of the Box Bros videos that I haven't had a chance to do, which we will. Hopefully. You know what I'm saying? I promised this way, you know what I'm saying, in 2023, and haven't had a chance to do one yet. Keep referencing them, but haven't had a chance to do one yet. You know what I'm saying?
Something Jeffrey Thielman, executive director of the International Institute of New England, says is becoming increasingly common with each day.
Our position among a lot of the providers that have been talking today on a Sunday to try to figure out what to do here, it is not a good idea, not healthy to punish people by telling them if you stay in a respite center.
Now, I would actually agree with this a whole lot. And that's one of the reasons why I did that video, thoroughly explaining a lot of the things that he did in Minnesota, and thoroughly explaining a lot of his policy position interpretation, because I would agree 100%. Her choice for VP is very much a reflection of her idea of how, quote unquote, immigration should work. So people should take heed of that. If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down.
Who can't get into the emergency shelter system.
The state says some of the first families to receive eviction notices have already been reticketed, but isn't saying exactly how many, and also isn't telling us how many migrant families have accepted plane or bus tickets to leave Massachusetts in recent weeks.
They're not leaving Massachusetts from what I'm hearing. They're not. Maybe the state has different data. It'd be great to see that data, but I'm not seeing it.
Thielman says providers like himself are teaming up and scrambling to find temporary places for people to stay. A spokesperson with the governor's office tells us, quote, this new policy will help open up space at temporary respite centers so that families have a place to stay temporarily while they work with case managers to identify alternative housing. That spokesperson went on to emphasize that Massachusetts is out of shelter space and can't continue to afford the size of the system.
Oh, man, another unsustainable. How many people remember what we're supposed to do when we hear unsustainable? How many people remember what we're supposed to do when we hear unsustainable? Speaking of unsustainable, if you are somebody who follows the migrant crisis, and if you are into migrant crisis news and updates, make sure you follow all of the channels that we talk about the migrant crisis on. All right. Make sure that you follow BLR2. make sure that you follow the Undocumented Bros, the channel, and make sure that you follow Undocumented. All right.
Spokesperson went on to emphasize that Massachusetts is out of shelter space and can't continue to afford the size of the system. A recent report from the Center for Immigration Studies, a conservative group.
Shout out to Jay. Yeah. Shout out to Katsy. Yeah, this is what we do anytime we hear unsustainable. Facts. Shout out to Brooklyn Queen. Now, when was it that we first started saying that we would do that? Anytime we hear unsustainable, we put the no or the stop sign in the chat. How long ago was that? Was that almost a year ago? We're still hearing it. We're still hearing it. How much damage has this done? Back then, we were hearing unsustainable so much that we started tracking how much we hear unsustainable. That had to be what, a year ago? Imagine the damage that's been done. This has just been going on unchallenged. Man, that's crazy. Now, this is something that I thought was interesting. Now, I want you guys to listen to this video, okay? And the reason why I want you guys to listen to this video is because they say something extremely interesting. What they say is that there's a last push. Shout out to Win, Lose, or Rug, October of last year. So it's getting close to a year. There's a final push of migrants trying to get into the United States because they fear that once Trump becomes the president, the border will be inevitably locked down. Now, I find it fascinating, right? That to me, it says something. It makes a statement. If the people who violate laws are so fearful of your laws that while you're not even in office, the possibility of you getting in office is somewhat affecting their behavior. I think that's fascinating. Shout out to Tanya. Tanya says, I received no notification. Everybody in the chat, if anybody has any problems with notifications, give all of the ways that you can get alternative notifications. So let's check this out real quick.
And now to one of the most contentious issues of the presidential election, the U.S. southern border. Thousands of migrants are heading to the U.S.-Mexico border before their November elections due to concerns that former President Donald Trump might permanently close it. The caravan of asylum seekers departed from Mexico's southern border and began traveling north after President Joe Biden declared that he would not seek re-election on Sunday. The migrants say they are afraid that if Donald Trump returns to the White House, he could carry out the largest deportation in American history, a claim the Republican has repeatedly made at election rallies. Our next report has all the details.
So I want you guys to pay attention. Like, it's interesting. They are worried. They're worried about his foreign policy. They're worried about his immigration policy, and he's not even in office yet. To me, what that shows is that he's kind of not looked at as a joke, like how the mainstream American media looks at him like a joke. While the mainstream media says that he rambles and just talks a bunch of nonsense, the people that don't understand English that are trying to get into the country illegally, somehow they understand his ramblings. I think that's interesting. What do you guys think about that? If you guys think that that's interesting, give me a thumbs up. If you guys don't think that that's interesting, give me a thumbs down. And shout out to everybody that's watching. I appreciate you guys. We got 49 people watching and 52 likes. If everybody can take a moment, smash that like button and get us to that 100, that would be great.
The sun was just beginning to rise over Ciudad Hidalgo, casting a soft golden glow over the bustling crowd. Thousands of people from around a dozen countries were gathering, their faces etched with a mixture of hope and anxiety. They were embarking on an arduous journey spanning thousands of kilometers to the US border, driven by dreams of a better life and the looming specter of political change. They believed a Donald.
Now, let me ask you guys this question. When it comes to these dreams of a better life and dreams of political change, dreams of a better life can mean life outside of a jail cell, and dreams, you know what I'm saying, of a better political life could mean, like, you know what I'm saying, avoiding your prison sentence. I mean, these are things that could be. There's no definite, right? But these are definitely things that could be, right?
Trump victory would end the hope of asylum seekers to enter the US legally, which the Biden administration had set up to control the flow of migrants.
It is a very worrying situation that we are going through because we need to be there. We are worried that Donald Trump will discriminate against us, that he will close the border, and that he will eliminate
They said that they worried about Trump discriminating against them.
You ain't black.
What do you guys think about that? I think that that's interesting terminology to use. We're worried about Trump discriminating against us. I don't know if that's I don't know if that can be classified as discrimination or not. It's not that's like if somebody decided to sell some drugs and you'd be like, I'm afraid that the police going to discriminate against me. You might get discriminated against in the courtroom, but before you get into the courtroom, you're breaking a law. So you should be expecting to go into the courtroom. You're breaking the law coming to the United States illegally. You're not going to get messed with if you come the right way. If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down.
CBP One. We are opting for CBP One, and we are here at the shelter waiting for the appointment. We are very worried here at the shelter.
The whispers were everywhere. What will happen if Trump wins the upcoming election? The borders might slam shut, trapping everyone in limbo. With a determined glint in their eyes, migrants said they were not the invaders Trump had painted them to be. They were farmers, construction workers, teachers, all seeking safety and opportunity in a land they believed to be the beacon of hope.
I mean, what if somebody said, like, I just want to take some money out of the bank that's not mine because I believe that this is a financial vehicle and a beacon of hope? Like, is that how any of this works? Yeah, I gotta agree. If you guys agree with Deneen, throw some angry faces in the chat. I mean, to me, like this is the level of gaslighting. This is the level of gaslighting. The level of gaslighting should be criminal. Would you guys agree? Yeah, I remember that. Shout out to Jay. Yeah, I remember that. Jay said, remember when that thug AOC wanted to sue on behalf of migrants in the ICE shelter? Yeah. Yeah, I absolutely remember that.
We all come for a dream, and we leave families at home. We come to try to find a way to fight for them.
It's a lie. We have never robbed anyone. We just want to improve ourselves.
The caravan set off. As they trudged along the dusty roads of
they say they just want to improve themselves. I mean, but then if you say, well, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't say certain things because if you say the certain things, then somebody will say that you're a certain thing. And it's like, come on, man. Seriously?
Mexico, the group faced myriad challenges. The path had become increasingly treacherous, with Mexican authorities tightening controls in an effort to ease the pressure on the US-Mexico border. Former President Andrés Manuel López Obrador had been vocal about protecting migrants from the risky journey north.
Right. And I would go as far as to say, improve yourself and your country. Like, let me ask you guys this question. Is this influx of migrants improving the United States? What do you guys think? If you all feel that the influx of migrants is improving the United States, give me a thumbs up. If you guys do not think that the influx of migrants is improving the United States, then give me a thumbs down.
But for many, the risks of staying were far greater.
The bad thing about Trump's first term in office was that he was very aggressive with the borders and with Mexico, but especially on the border. He said to build more walls, that we have a security problem, that a lot of drugs cross here, and that he wanted to return the industry back to the United States, especially with his speech, Make America Great Again.
Make America great again.
While most of them relied heavily on the CBP One app from US Customs and Border Protection, which allowed them to make appointments at border crossings, migrants...
Now, you guys remember, we talked about this CBP One app. We did a brief video about the CBP One app. And if any more information comes across about the CBP One app, I might just do another standalone video just to keep it into circulation, because people tend to forget about these type of things. How many people are familiar with the CBP One app? This is the app that basically matches people seeking entry into the United States with places on the United States border that they can seek entry at. Like, it's insane. You know what I'm saying?
Drugs cross here, and that he wanted to return the industry back to the United States, especially with his speech, "Make America Great Again."
Make America great again.
While most of them relied heavily on the CBP One app from US Customs and Border Protection, which allowed them to make appointments at border crossings, migrants explained this system was far from perfect. In June 2024 alone, around 41,800 appointments were made through the app, but more than double that number crossed illegally, unable to wait for their turn. The International Rescue Committee had warned of the dangers migrants face, particularly women and children who are vulnerable to abuse and exploitation. But despite the risks, the caravan pressed on, driven by an unyielding desire for a better life.
Seeing it like this lowers our hope, because with Joe Biden, we had guaranteed passage up there.
We are people trying to find.
See that? What did that guy say? Now, I'm not trying to be funny, but if somebody really wanted to be strategic, that would be a perfect, campaign clip against the Harris administration, because you can't separate Harris from the Biden administration. So if somebody used a clip of this, whoo, man, that would be damaging. That would be damaging. You know what I'm saying?
Unyielding desire for a better life.
Seeing it like this lowers our hope, because with Joe Biden, we had guaranteed passage up there.
We are people trying to find and support our family.
With elections almost 4 months away, all eyes are now on Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. The fate of thousands of migrants lies in their hands, and as they continue their trek through the heart of Mexico, each mile brought them closer to the uncertain promise of a new beginning. Their hopes pinned on the chance that the door to their dreams would not close before they arrived.
All right, so let me see. Hold on. Let me see. Let's see what else they got here. I think the rest of this is just the rest of that is just like, a little promotional or whatever. So now check this out, right? We got an article from The Hill. All right. And as you guys can see, it looks like J.D. Vance is live at a campaign stop in Pennsylvania. So we missed that one. We missed that one. You know what I'm saying? Most voters in new poll say economy and immigration are most important issues in 2024. All right. So now let's say, for instance, you decide to vote. Important issues, immigration, and economy. What set of candidates provides you a better outcome with each, and why? Let me know what you guys think.
Good news for consumers. New numbers from the Labor Department show inflation is slowing down. The Consumer Price Index showed a 2.9% annual increase in July. That's down from 3% in June and marks the first time it's fell below 3% since March of 2021. Meantime, the unemployment rate has ticked higher, jumping to 4.3% in July. All eyes are now on the Federal Reserve Board, who will meet again next month to consider lowering interest rates.
All right, so there's that. And we're going to be talking about those interest rates eventually. All right. So it says here, a majority of voters said the most important issues to them are those involving the economy and immigration, according to a new poll. Okay. Now, shout out to Patrick, because I saw Patrick's comment and it's hilarious because it's true. Right? It's true. If you care about the border, it's kind of difficult to see Kamala Harris doing so well because she's not really trying to do anything to change the border. I'm gonna put these survey results into the chat, and I'm gonna also put them into the Discord so you guys can check this stuff out. Okay. All right, so we got them in the Discord and we got them in the chat. Y'all can hit that PDF file. Okay. So now here it says the Economist YouGov poll conducted August 11th through 13 found 54% of voters said the most important issues to them were inflation/prices, jobs in the economy, immigration, and taxes and government spending. Now, I would be curious as to what about these things are you concerned about? What are your concerns with these things? The Discord link's not working for you, Patrick? Hold on real quick. Okay, new Discord link coming up. Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that, Deneen. Are you on your phone or are you on your computer? Because if you're on your computer, you can just hit the link and use the browser window. I would advise people not to download the app onto their phone or download it onto your computer. I would advise people to use Discord from your computer by just going to Discord. You know what I'm saying? Just go into the Discord site on your computer. Don't download the app onto your computer or don't download it onto your phone. I wouldn't do that because your phone will never stop going off. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, shout out to Deneen. Deneen says the masses don't care about the border and the media hasn't told them to be upset. Yeah, facts. Facts. Shout out to the specialist. Oh, you downloaded it, huh? It wouldn't let you sleep, would it? It was going off like crazy, wasn't it? It was going off like crazy. That's hilarious. Shout out to Patrick. Make sure y'all show Patrick some love. Throw some flames, some radiation emoji, and some ducks in the chat for Patrick for joining the Discord. That's what's good. All right. Yeah, the Discord is lit. You know what I'm saying? We have a good time in there. You know what I'm saying? I ain't mad at it. I ain't mad at it, specialist. I ain't mad at it. Real quick, you guys, shout out to y'all, man. I appreciate everybody being here. If you guys haven't smashed that like button yet, please take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys have not hit that bell, please take a moment, hit that bell. And also, please share the stream to your social media. All right. So now here it says the Department of Labor reported Wednesday that the Consumer Price Index, a common measure of inflation, dropped 2.9% annual increase last month. The dip below 3% was the first time the CPI had done so since spring of 2021. Now, let me ask you guys a question. Do you guys think that it's a coincidence? The CPI been high as heck lately. You know what I'm saying? It's been high as heck. What are some factors that cause the consumer price index to be so high? And I appreciate you, FBA, for sharing. Definitely appreciate it, bro. Shout out to Aristo Pat. What's good with you, bro? Good to see you here. All right. Economic issues and immigration have consistently been raised as high concerns among voters in polling in the recent months. Now, you know, I had said something about Trump, right? I was like, yo, you know, Trump just sitting up there talking about mass deportations. Even though mass deportations is vague, is something to just throw out there. I'm gonna get rid of everybody. You'll never have to worry about another immigrant ever again. There'll only be Americans on the planet. You'll never have to worry about immigrants. It'll be great. Right? As extreme as mass deportation may sound, it is actually a solution. I don't know what have we heard anything about what the Harris and Walz team is offering? And I gotta agree with Patrick. I don't. There's not going to be a mass deportation. I don't think that that's. I think that there would be a lot of bureaucracy that would cause that to be extremely difficult. It'd be extremely difficult. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says both former President Trump and Vice President Harris have been battling over the issue of immigration as the general election has been inching closer. Trump's campaign has tried to label Harris as the border czar. Is that truth? Referring to, is that the truth? Let me ask you guys in the comment section, where did the border czar designation and terminology come from? Where did the border czar designation and terminology come from? Does anybody know? You guys recall? Shout out to Patrick. He put the pictures of the 2024 migrant mobiles into the Discord. Patrick Tyler getting busy already. That's what's good. So Trump's campaign has tried to label Harris as a border czar, referring to her efforts to address the underlying causes of migration in the Northern Triangle of Central America, while the Harris campaign has argued that the former president had a role in stopping border security legislation. Other findings in the poll include 44% of registered voters who said they think Harris would win in a presidential matchup, while 40% said they think Trump would win. The Economist/YouGov poll featured 1,407 registered voters and a margin of error of plus or minus 3.2 percentage points. Okay, so there's that. All right. I still haven't seen how Kamala Harris plans to address the border. I haven't seen it yet. Have you all? If you all have seen that, then please give me a thumbs up. If you all have not seen that, then give me a thumbs down. Okay. So let me see what else we got. We're going to take a look at this right here. It's going down in New York City. You know what I'm saying? It's going down in it's gonna go down in Chicago too. Okay. It's gonna go down in Chicago too. I don't know. All right, you know what? We just about to look at this. This is gonna kind of cross over into talking about homeless issues, right? But what I want people to pay attention to is I want people to understand a very close intersection between the homeless issues and the migrant issues. All right. The homeless issues and the migrant issues, they go hand in hand. All right. And as we get into the box bros, you know what I'm saying? People will be able to see that. Okay. So you see, actually, you know what? Before we do that, what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at this. We're going to take a look at this real quick. If you guys haven't hit that like button, make sure y'all hit that like button. If y'all haven't shared the stream, take a moment, share the stream. All right. Also, if you're on Rumble, don't miss out on a notification. Subscribe to the channel on Rumble. All right. And also, if you're on Twitch, don't miss a notification by subscribing to the channel on Twitch. All right. So let's check this out. We're going to talk about Biden's border crisis. Biden's migrants. Shout out to my man TD Media Group. Biden's migrants.
Listen to this. A fourth suspected Palestinian terrorist was just stopped at the border in less than a month. He was arrested Monday in New Mexico, and it comes just weeks after 3 other suspected terrorists were caught crossing near San Diego. Florida Attorney General Ashley Moody is demanding answers from the Homeland Security after reports show the Biden-Harris administration released nearly 100 people who were on the terror watch list into the United States.
Why? Why did they do that? I want to make sure that you guys heard that properly. How many people heard that? If you heard that, put an angry face in the chat. If you didn't hear that, then put a thumbs down. This is more of that stupid stuff that I'm talking about. This is more of that idiotic nonsense that I'm always complaining about. Why would you do this? They couldn't think of they didn't have anything better to do with these people. They couldn't think of anything else that they could have did with these individuals. Oh, it's just they on a terrorist watch list. We're just throwing back. We just let them go. Like they caught a butterfly and then just let it go again. We caught some lightning bugs and just let it go again. Like seriously.
Listen to this. A 4th suspected Palestinian terrorist was
Shout out
just
to
stopped
Carla.
at
What's
the
good with it,
border in
Carla?
less than a month. He was arrested Monday in New Mexico, and it comes just weeks after 3 other suspected terrorists were caught crossing near San Diego. Florida Attorney General Ashley Moody is demanding answers from the Homeland Security after reports show the Biden-Harris administration released nearly 100 people who were on the terror watch list into the United States. The report found that, quote, more than 250 illegal aliens on the terror watch list were encountered by Border Patrol at the southwest border between fiscal years 2021 and 2023. DHS has released into American communities at least 99, with at least 34 others in DHS custody, but not yet removed from the United States.
Let me ask you guys this question. How safe is that? How safe of a situation does that create? These are things that people should take it. Like I'm telling you, when you guys watch these or when you guys watch replays, you guys should take notes of certain things and just ask people questions. You don't necessarily have to be an expert about every single top talking point or every single situation, but the things that you find extremely important, that are things that is like, okay, we have to address this. Write down the details and then bring that with you to your discussion. I'm concerned about this. How is this going to be taken care of? How can you guarantee that this is going to be taken care of? I think that that's important. And I think that people should do that in order to get their needs heard. You know what I'm saying? I got to agree with Deneen. I do not disagree. Deneen says, this is treason. If you guys agree with Deneen, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down.
Florida Attorney General Ashley Moody joins me now. Attorney General, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for digging in, trying to get answers on one of the most important and concerning topics of the day. So what have you learned so far about why DHS is allowing these people to enter our country, people who have suspected ties to terrorism?
Yeah, I know. As the news seems to be focusing on whether or not Kamala Harris, shrugged off the assignment from Biden that she was responsible for stemming the tide of migration over our border. As this back and forth is going on, I'm astounded that buried in that is the most terrifying admission of all from the Biden administration, in that, the ones that are coming across and we're coming in contact with, that's hundreds, almost 400 on the terrorist watch list encountered by this administration because of the failed stemming of that tide by Kamala Harris, compared to 11, by the way, under the Trump administration. But here's the most terrifying news that no one is picking up on, that we finally have an admission from them. They have released, after coming in contact with these people, 199, almost 100, could be more now because this was through 2023, to roam our interior. Yeah. And here's the most frustrating part as an attorney general in a state where we know suspected terrorists have been before, when tragedies have happened in this country. They are not communicating. When they realize they've released these almost 100 terrorists to roam our communities, they are not telling law enforcement in the states that they have done so. There is no communication. I've confirmed that with our law enforcement. And Americans need to know, whether you title yourself the borders are or not, they have released into our interior and they are now roaming. We have no idea how many that they have tracked down.
Attorney General, not only are they being released, which is the worst part, but local communities aren't even being given a heads up, which is outrageous. outrageous. Also outrageous, the House Judiciary Committee released a report that found that in one case, 8 Tajik nationals were arrested June of this year for potential ISIS ties. 3 of those migrants were released into the country via the CBP One phone app.
So again, we're bringing up the CBP One phone app. The CBP One phone app. Why would they make something like the CBP One phone app? We know why they would, right? They'll sit there and act like it's a mystery, and why not? Like we can play along too, right? Like we'll just, whatever, right? Like we'll act like it's a mystery too. But like, why would you do that? You know what I'm saying? Why would you make a CBP One phone app? You know what I'm saying? Think about that. Like, why would you do it? How does that help anything? What does that help? This is the best question ever. This is the best question ever. You guys ready for it? What does the CBP One app help do? I'll tell you what it helps do. It helps migrants illegally with no documents enter the United States. That's what it does. Shout out to Carla. What's good with it, Carla? Now, how many people remember me talking about the CBP One phone app? If you ask me, that's one of the things that people should directly bring to politicians. We don't like the CBP One phone app. CBP One phone app is junk. It's trash. It creates an unsafe environment, and it creates way too much of a demand, a stress demand on Border Patrol to where they can't effectively do their job. We need to find something better than the CBP One app, because as it stands currently, it's just not acceptable. If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. And shout out to everybody that's watching. We got 44 people watching and 60 likes. If everybody can bang on that like button and get us to 100, that'd be great.
Which is outrageous. Also outrageous, the House Judiciary Committee released a report that found that in one case, 8 Tajik nationals were arrested June of this year for potential ISIS ties. 3 of those migrants were released into the country via the CBP One phone app. So it's not like these people are evading Border Patrol. They're not gotaways. They are literally on their cell phones, signing up to enter the country, and they are being welcomed in.
So yeah, there's that. And I'm going to run that part back because I don't think that people really like people don't understand how these things are being facilitated. Shout out to my man, the specialist. Please make sure you guys show the specialist some love. Throw some flames, some radiation emoji, and some ducks in the chat for my man, the specialist, funding the organization.
How do you think that we fund this organization, huh? We're not exactly the march of dimes.
This is the hardest record out. Cash rules everything around me. Queen, get the money. Dollar, dollar bill, yo.
Shout out to the specialist, bro. I definitely appreciate you. The specialist says, so this attorney general knows Harris is not doing her job. Why wouldn't she focus her efforts on weeding the illegals out instead of jumping on Fox? Because she's not going to get any attention if she does that. She can get some immediate gratification and some immediate airtime and some name recognition if she does this. Why would you work for pay when you can get paid in attention currency in 2024? You know what I'm saying? That's the question, bro. That's the question right there.
The worst part, but local communities aren't even being given a heads up, which is outrageous. Also outrageous, the House Judiciary Committee released a report that found that in one case, 8 Tajik nationals were arrested June of this year for potential ISIS ties. 3 of those migrants were released into the country via the CBP One phone app. So it's not like these people are evading Border Patrol. They're not gotaways. They are literally on their cell phones, signing up to enter the country, and they are being welcomed in.
Yeah, so these people that we...
Shout out to Mina Jean. Make sure you guys show Mina Jean some love. Throw some like enforcers in the chat for Mina Jean for enforcing those likes. And absolutely, please hit the thumbs up button when you come in.
the suspected terrorist watch list, they're being encountered. They're being processed. They're being handed a paper by Border Patrol that says, hey, go report when you make it in your state. And that date that they're supposed to report could be 8 or 10 years out from now. But let me just tell you, they are also signing up on this, what I would argue is an illegal app, and they're not being vetted and stopped there. And so, you know, this is the greatest fraud of all time, where you have...
Now, if I'm not mistaken, I recognize this woman. I remember annoying women. You know what I'm saying? I got a soft spot for annoying women. You know what I'm saying? Somebody got to love them, right? If I'm not mistaken, she's this woman here is down there in Florida with Ron DeSantis. Yeah, down Ashley Moody, Republican Florida Attorney General. Yeah, I remember her from a press conference with Ron DeSantis. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, shout out to Deneen. Deneen said, all I'm seeing is grown men, like a bachelorette party, huh? like a bachelorette party on the border, huh?
Somebody that wants to be the commander-in-chief, Kamala Harris, wants to be in charge of national security. And now she's having to admit to the American people, oh, yeah, we've released almost 100 people on the terrorist watch list into your country. We have no idea where they are. And those that we've told to report to certain states, we haven't even told law enforcement. Wow. So, hey, trust me, I want to be your commander-in-chief and protect you and your security. Yeah. It's the biggest illusion of all time. Move over, David Copperfield and Chris Angel. You've got the biggest illusionist of all time that wants to be your president.
Yeah, and talk about illusion. She's also releasing ads and talking on the campaign trail about how she's the candidate that is tough on the border. She is the prosecutor for president candidate. All the while, the Biden-Harris administration released 100 people on the terror watch list into our country. That's a fact that should never be forgotten. Attorney General Moody, thank you so much for
still
joining
out
us.
there.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Great to be with you, Carly.
All right.
Yeah, I would actually agree that is a fact that shouldn't be forgotten. And at the very least, what should happen is that it should at the very least be addressed. It should at the very least be addressed. Now, Chicago has been having serious problems, right? But when you mix the undocumented bros with the box bros, you really get a lot of problems. Now, there are some concerns that are growing that there may be some type of sabotage that occurs. You know what I'm saying? There's concerns that there may be some sabotage that occurs. All right, and we're gonna actually take a look at this quote unquote sabotage that may occur. Okay, yeah, I think it's CBP One app, Jesse. So let's check this out real quick.
At this time next week, we will have just heard from President Joe Biden to close the first night of the DNC here in Chicago.
We are your convention headquarters, getting you ready for everything from the politics to the security and the expected protests.
Today, crews started building the security perimeters around the United Center and McCormick Place. Only people with proper credentials can now get inside.
Tonight, we're digging in.
Now, here goes my question. How many people are going to be paying attention to this DNC conference? If you guys are going to be watching the DNC conference, give me a thumbs up. If you guys are not going to be watching the DNC conference, then give me a thumbs down. My advice, I think that everybody should tune into it. And what you should do is you should be watching it and taking notes as to what they say in regards to issues that you are concerned about, and also issues that you feel are important that they don't address, or if they don't address them properly, make sure that you have your thoughts together on what it is that you think was improperly addressed. All right.
Into a different concern from neighbors on the west side who spoke with our Jermont Terry tonight. Jermont?
Joe and Erica, that countdown right at the bottom of your screen gives you an indication as to how soon the streets of Chicago will drastically change. And for some, they've already noticed changes to their streets. We're talking those homeless encampments that have long been around. The signs are everywhere around the city telling you the
Now, you see, they got rid of the homeless encampments. Now, see, we got to ask this question: who was in the homeless encampments? Yeah. Who was inside of the homeless encampments? Is it homeless people as we know them? Because let me ask you guys this question: is it possible for a migrant to be a homeless person? Like, can those two things exist in the same person?
Democratic National Convention is coming. Yet these signs are popping up too. And there are no signs of several homeless encampments that have sat for months and in some cases years.
If they're just moving people, then we have a real problem with that.
Doug Schinkelberg is the executive director of the Chicago Coalition to End Homelessness. The group works 24/7 to address homelessness in Chicago. He's also aware the city recently moved tents and groups of unhoused people from locations like this one near Roosevelt and the Dan Ryan.
What we're concerned about, particularly with that spot, to close down that space permanently. When they put up fencing, they say that people can't come back. Unless we have permanent housing for everyone that's experiencing homelessness, we can't start shutting down public spaces.
The coalition wants to make sure the removal of the people is for long-term housing, not just optics for the DNC.
Are we concerned about them the next day? And we've been told by the city and have reason to believe that they are working on long-term.
That's a great point. Throw some flames in the chat for Jay. That's a great point. Jay says, also, why are they building borders for the building? Come on, Dims, world without borders. Right. Why are there fences there? Why is there doors? Everything should just be open. Shouldn't be no windows on there, nothing. Let the rain, if it rains, happen to rain. The rain should just come in. The snow should just come in. Leaves, bird, you know what I'm saying? Seagulls crapping all over the place. Yeah, just, you know what I'm saying? Let them all in.
Solutions.
I truly believe the system in Chicago is broken. This is nothing new.
Julie Darling is the president of the West Loop Community Organization. For more than a year, they fought to get an encampment removed at Lake and Clinton. Today, the people are gone and those no tent signs are up.
I think the biggest concern for citizens across the city, whether it's West Loop, the South Side, the West Side.
So what I find interesting is that the politicians who failed these people, look at this. The politicians that failed these people don't want these people all in their face while they're having their nice convention. The politicians that failed these people, they don't want to be inconvenienced by these people all in their face while they have their nice convention. Yo, that's crazy. It's a dog-eat-dog world.
Side is when these encampments pop up and they get out of control. That's when the bad things happen. Then safety is an issue.
She applauds the city's efforts, even if it is just during the DNC, because fewer people are on the streets. Yet we wait to see where the money came from all of a sudden.
It is true that oftentimes when moments like this hit, money is found.
Now, we did reach out to the city to get an idea of just how many homeless people they have moved to temporary or indoor long-term encampments or places, I should say. We have not heard back. But as for the DNC, you can see if you're near the United Center, the fences are going up and the parameter is being set throughout the week. So if you're coming.
So the fences are going up. Now, mind you, somebody, they're trying to say that I'm like directing vandalism there if I say what I want to say. You know what I'm saying? But what happened when they tried to put up the fences the way that they wanted to put up the fences, quote unquote, in Texas? When the people that run Texas felt it was appropriate and wanted to put up, quote unquote, fences in Texas, what did the Biden administration do to their fences? I'm just saying. What did they do? What happened? The people down there in Texas wanted to put up fences. They did. They ended up putting up fences. What did the Biden administration come and do to them fences that they put up? Now, one of the reasons this is even funnier, right? This is hilarious. The GOP has threatened to send busloads of migrants to the DNC conference. The migrants will be there and in proximity to be able to make political demands, which they don't have to anyway, because they get serviced by the DNC as it is already.
5 days until the start of the Democratic National Convention in Chicago, city leaders are signaling they're ready for anything thrown at them.
One big question looms. Will the governor of Texas flood the city with buses filled with migrants? Political reporter Chris Ty is here now with what we should expect.
A lot of moving parts here, Joe and Erica, in the final countdown to next week. Texas Governor Greg Abbott has been shipping migrants here for 2 years, for almost as long. There's been an expectation he would use Chicago's week in the spotlight to double down. While the flow of migrants to Chicago has stopped cold since Christmas, just today he signaled he's not done.
Those buses will continue to roll until we finally secure our border.
He said it at the RNC and tweeted it again today. We won't stop until the Biden-Harris administration secures the border. The buses to Chicago from Texas have slowed.
Where do you get helicopters? Venezuela.
And those studying the crisis say there are three reasons. A full court press next week during the...
You see, Venezuela. So how many people are living in Chicago or near Chicago from the Chicago area? If you live in Chicago, are near Chicago, or are from the Chicago area, give me a thumbs up in the chat. They're saying that next week's weather forecast could be slightly cloudy with a chance of migrants.
the DNC is unlikely. First, the number of illegal migrants has fallen from 300,000 last December to 83,000 this June.
There's less opportunity actually to find enough people to be bused to Chicago. So that's a big change.
Muzaffar Chushti of the Nonpartisan Migration Policy Institute says, number two, migrants have learned time allowed in shelters here up north has been slashed since last year.
The fact that news travels fast in the right migrant communities also mean people will not be willing to come to Chicago.
And three, the improved numbers at the border and Republicans' refusal to sign a bipartisan border bill makes it politically trickier.
I think the Republican argument on this has been blunted quite a bit.
Do you expect there to be buses of migrants coming to Chicago next week?
I think the governor of Texas will make attempts to see whether he could create a spectacle, whether he can be successful in sending a large number of people in buses in a very sort of high-profile way is doubtful.
Despite all the forces working against the effort, if Abbott does mobilize, the timing would require action in the next 2 to 3 days to get those buses here to really have that political impact on convention week.
Now, that's assuming that this stuff wasn't. That's assuming that this stuff isn't already in play. We don't know if it's already in play or not. Right? So I guess we'll find out.
The next question is for Democrats. How will they frame the border issue next week? Because while the numbers are improving, according to Gallup, it remains a top 3 issue for voters from coast to coast, Joe.
So now I want you guys to understand this. On all of these polls, immigration is a top issue. Immigration is a top issue. My question is, if immigration is a top issue, why is it that when we discuss immigration, a lot of, you know what I'm saying, people around us and, you know what I'm saying, people who have issues, they act like we shouldn't be discussing immigration. We should not discuss immigration unless immigration is discussed in a way that they want to hear it discussed in. Why not? I don't understand that.
Terrence and Don, we are now hearing that city officials who were recently anticipating several thousand migrants next week are not anticipating a significant number any longer. But that doesn't mean they aren't gearing up for it.
In the event of a migrant surge during the DNC, city officials say they will be ready. There are currently more than 5,000 available beds across citywide migrant shelters, but only time will tell if and when they will be filled. A city spokesperson tells us they have a strategic plan in place to prepare for any sudden increases in new arrivals. Writing, the city is maintaining sufficient bed capacity in our existing temporary shelters and preparing sites in the event that new temporary emergency shelters will need to be activated on short notice.
Now, more than likely, that's probably going to happen. And the reason why is because the migrant population and the homeless population are for one, mixed. They're intermixed, right? And more than likely with this, event taking place in downtown and a lot of the things being rearranged, they're probably going to overlap. So yeah, these things are definitely we're gonna see these things occur.
Over the last several months, the city has closed many of its temporary shelters. Still, there are about 5,500 migrants living across 17 city-run locations. One of those shelters is at Walnut and Paulina. On Tuesday morning, near West Side residents and business owners called on Mayor Brandon Johnson to shut it down by the end of next month.
Every day there is chaos, crime, and danger.
Why do they not? Do you see this? Now, how come they're not talking about this on the news? And this is what I'm saying. They are gaslighting this issue. And you can't even really blame the media, right? You got to blame the people that are not demanding this kind of information. Because it's out there, it's available. See, like I got it, I put it together. So when people say, well, they're not talking about this in the media, I'm not that big of a YouTuber yet where I can set up my own journalism stations and just go to Chicago and ask people questions. I don't have it like that at this point. I might not ever have it like that. I'm getting this information from the media. So then people will say, well, the media is not talking about it. But here I am reacting to a media video. You know what I'm saying?
On Tuesday morning, near Westside residents and business owners called on Mayor Brandon Johnson to shut it down by the end of next month.
Every day there is chaos, crime, and danger.
They say there has been a spike in 911 calls due to increased drug activity, street fighting, and loitering.
Here in my hand is a list of 400 calls to 911.
The owners of Happy Tails and Trails and Cake Chicago say they are losing customers.
I have personally seen drug deals go down.
There's glass everywhere. Some of these kids are barefoot. They need better conditions because it's not fair to them as well as ourselves.
So, yeah. So I'm curious as to if any of these people from the neighborhood will, I don't know, are they going to, is the DNC going to talk to any of these people? They clearly, I mean, I'm not trying to be funny, but doesn't it seem like Chicago might actually be hostile territory for the DNC? If you guys think that Chicago might actually end up being hostile territory for the DNC, give me a thumbs up. If you guys don't think that that's the case, and you know it might be kind of friendly in Chicago, then let me know.
Migrant advocates are getting ready for a potential increase in asylum seekers. There's been a drop in the number of bus drop-offs in Chicago area, but Republican governors have said they will send a lot of people to sanctuary cities during the DNC. Casey Cronus picks up our team coverage. Casey?
Terrence, unless it is communicated by Texas Governor Greg Abbott, only time will tell exactly how many migrants will be dropped off here during next week's convention. But city officials say they are prepared to welcome thousands. Today, though, there is a new concern. Near Westside residents and business owners are calling on Mayor Brandon Johnson to shut down a shelter located at Walnut.
So they basically just kind of chopped up two different reports and put them together. We kind of just talked about that particular one, but we can still finish watching the rest of it. Shout out to Mina. I appreciate you, Mina.
And Paulina. It is situated just a few blocks away from the United Center, where the majority of convention activities, of course, will take place, and located just one block from Union Park, where many of the DNC protests will be held. Members of the Fulton Market Association say the shelter has brought on drug dealing, street fights, loud music, and loitering. They are demanding the city shut it down by September 30th.
Here in my hand is a list of 4.
Let me ask you guys this question. We've been doing this for a very long time. Have we ever seen a situation where the people in the community have said, you know, this migrant shelter is great. I really love the people who come here. They bring a net positive to the community. And, you know, we're lucky because, you know, we have a concentration of a lot of good migrants at this particular migrant shelter. And, you know, we want to see these people get integrated into society as soon as possible, because if they're doing as good as they are doing at the migrant center, once they get into society, they're going to be a net positive. Have you guys seen that? If you guys have ever seen one of the migrant shelters described like that, then give me a thumbs up. If you haven't, then give me a thumbs down.
400 calls to 911 from January through early May of this year. 400 calls. What we're saying to the mayor is that the only way Chicago survives, the only way, is we set our laws and we enforce our laws. And the mayor and the aldermen have said that this street, and the entire corridor are for businesses only, okay? We have to help our businesses survive and operate.
As this afternoon's press conference was underway, some of the migrants living in that shelter became upset and confronted those hosting it.
So they don't understand English, but they became upset and confronted the hosts. Now, what do you guys think about that? The migrants don't pay tax dollars. The host and them paying tax dollars for them people to stay there for free. And they got the nerve to come outside and they call themselves confronting. They call themselves confronting. Really?
Conference was underway. Some of the migrants living in that shelter became upset and confronted those hosting it. The situation was diffused by local officers. Over the last several months, the city has decompressed many of its migrant shelters, but there are still 5,500 living across 17 shelters. Reporting live downtown, Casey Cronus, Fox 32, Chicago.
So there's that. All right. That's a lot. So now we get into some really interesting stuff. Okay. Hold on real quick. Okay. Now we get into some really interesting stuff. Okay. How many people have heard about the increased crimes in Central Park, New York? If you all have heard about the increased crime in Central Park, New York, give me a thumbs up. If you guys have not, give me a thumbs down. There's a huge issue with these crimes in Central Park. And we're going to see exactly what the case is. Okay. And then once we look at some numbers, we're going to look at what the mayor has to say about it. Because it's interesting. Not something that they're really talking about.
Of New York City, Central Park, tonight is going to glitter, not with jewels, but with extra cops. Dozens of them, in fact. This after a recent surge in robberies. The latest robbery last night when 2 men were mugged by teenagers. Robberies year to date in the park have more than tripled. The rise in robberies at least partly blamed on young migrants living in city shelters. I'm News reporter Janice Yu, live in the park tonight.
How many people heard that? If you guys heard that, type what he just said in the comment section. Now, when people address this, see how are you able to have a honest discussion about this kind of stuff when immediately when it's brought up, it's deemed as mis and disinformation when it's clearly not. Clearly not mis or disinformation, right?
The crown jewel of New York City, Central Park, tonight is going to glitter, not with jewels, but with extra cops. Dozens of them, in fact. This after a recent surge in robberies. The latest robbery last night when 2 men were mugged by teenagers. Robberies year to date in the park have more than tripled. The rise in robberies at least partly blamed on young migrants living in city shelters. I'm News reporter Janice Yu, live in the park tonight with the very latest. Janice.
Well, Bill, those officers actually just deployed within the last half hour or so. And you can see behind me still the mobile command post is here. And the officers will be here every single night until the department deems it's safe for people here. Again, we're talking about this uptick in robberies, and they also put these posters up throughout the park. This is in reference to a group of teenagers, they say, who mugged a man back on August 1st. So they're still looking for those suspects. Dozens of officers made their way into Central Park Wednesday afternoon, a show of force as the department continues to try to tackle the recent uptick in crime in the park.
We're not going to tolerate crimes in one of the most iconic locations in the world. And so behind me, you see the resources that we're going to deploy over the next days, weeks, whatever it takes to keep this place safe.
Assistant Chief Jason Savino says there have been 11 robberies in the park since June 27th, and he says 8 of them are likely connected.
You'll start to see, like I described, the wolf pack.
Savino says the suspects in these crimes are in large groups, what he calls wolf packs, like this mugging on August 1st. He says they take off with things like wallets, phones, and bags.
So you could imagine the feeling. Imagine the feeling of that individual, predominantly tourists or soft targets, sitting on a bench and then ultimately being victimized by these wolf pack type robberies.
Now, see, it's the ransacking type thing. This is what happened at that jewelry store in Colorado. All right. Now, my question is, again, knowing that this is happening, knowing that these particular people are causing an increase and a spike in crime like this, why is nothing being done to reduce the numbers or to control or contain them even more? That's my question. Do you think that that's going to get addressed at the DNC conference in Chicago?
It's tremendously concerning, and it's a new phenomenon, not only to Central Park, but really to the area.
He says many of the suspects in these crimes live in city-run migrant shelters, and their average age is just 15. Police arrested an 11-year-old.
Okay, so again, this is what we need to hit on, right? Because this is the stuff that they're saying we're not supposed to have any type of concern about this. We're not supposed to care about this. It doesn't matter what we're supposed to do. We do what we do. Right? These are issues that the mainstream media is not addressing. Now, what's the thing that's unique about this? 15 years old, even if they wanted to prosecute these individuals, they're not going to be able to prosecute them as adults unless they do something that's wildly egregious. which in a lot of cases they're just not getting caught.
Soft targets, sitting on a bench, and then ultimately being victimized by these Wolfpack type robberies. It's tremendously concerning, and it's a new phenomenon, not only to Central Park, but really to the area.
He says many of the suspects in these crimes live in city-run migrant shelters, and their average age is just 15. Police arrested an 11-year-old Tuesday night after he allegedly stole a phone from someone on the number 7 train. Assistant Chief Savino says the same kid was seen on video using credit cards stolen during a robbery in Central Park.
Although they're very young, very impressionable, they do have a big influence on this group. And that's something we haven't really readily seen. It's one of the first times I've ever seen it in my career.
Well, another tool that the NYPD planned on using are drones. We're told those will be deployed later this month. But again, for the time being.
Now, do you guys see this? The New York City Police Department is so bad, they're going to start deploying drones. They're going to start deploying drones. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my man, J. Cage. Make sure you guys show J. Cage some love. I definitely appreciate it, bro. Throw some flames, some radiation emoji, and some ducks in the chat for my man, J. Cage, for funding the organization.
How do you think that we fund this organization, huh? We're not exactly the March of Dimes.
Cash rules everything around me. Queen, get the money. Dollar bill, yo.
Shout out to J. Cage. J. Cage says what they robbing for when they getting bans of SNAP benefits and cash. Facts. My guess, this is what they were doing, right? In Venezuela or whatever country that they came from, and they're just doing it for sport here. Because absolutely, what are they robbing for? They're literally getting bans. They're getting racks. You know what I'm saying? They're getting racks on racks on racks when it comes to the amount of money that they're getting. So why would you then continue to go ahead and rob? It doesn't make any sense. You know what I'm saying?
If you are in Central Park, especially after sunset, they say between that time and 1 a.m., that is when the crimes are occurring. So that is when the park will be flooded with officers just to keep an eye on everything. Live in Central Park, JNSU Channel 7, Eyewitness News.
All right, so there's that. All right. So again, we're ramping up that increased police presence. All right. Now, ramping up this police presence is going to cost money. Now, I don't know if the migrants are responsible for this entire statistic, right? I don't know if migrants are responsible for this entire statistic. But it's saying that robberies are up 200%. They're up 200%. Okay. Now, a lot of these the news sometimes won't tell you who it is that's committing these crimes. Okay, they won't tell you. Now, they've said that as a result of this insane crime wave that's going on in Central Park, robberies are up 200%. That's ridiculous. That is insane. That itself is an issue that needs to be discussed at the Democrat convention. Would you guys agree? If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down. You guys see that, right? Robberies up 200% in Central Park. That, and if we need to see how much of a contribution to that the migrant sector is causing, and if the migrant sector is causing a significant contribution to that, that issue definitely needs to be coupled and addressed. Shout out to Carla, like Carla said, by the representatives at the DNC conference. Now, here's my question to everybody. Who are the representatives that will be at the DNC conference? That's my question.
Good morning to both of you. And in these warmer weather months, we've been tracking all of the crime that happens here in the park, and it's really happening at all hours of the day. The mayor taking notice, saying we need to amp up security across the park. And that means using technology in addition to manpower. Let me show you these stats that we're talking about. According to the NYPD, robberies are up, sex assaults are up, and assault felonies are up.
This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous.
Robberies are up by 200% from this time last year, an increase from 10 to 30 robberies. For example, last night on 62nd and West Drive, two 20-year-olds had their chain snatched and a vape stolen while sitting on park bench. No arrests have been made in that case. Another incident Tuesday early morning left 3 victims robbed by 4 suspects. In that case, 3 were taken into custody, with 2 of those people listing their address as a homeless shelter. The mayor says we have to do better addressing robberies and sex crimes so people feel safer in the park.
So now here's my question. If they listed their address as a homeless shelter, let me ask you guys this. Who do you think committed this? What kind of perpetrator was it? What kind of perp was it? If they used a homeless shelter as the address, who was the perp? What kind of perp was it? And shout out to everybody that's watching. I appreciate it. We got 50 people watching and we got 67 likes. If everybody can bang on that like button and get us to 100, that would be great. We only need 23, or actually, is that what we need? 23? No, we need 33. I'm sorry. We need 33 likes to get to 100, and I know we can do it. So smash that like button, hit that bell. If you're enjoying the content, spam the chat with thumbs up or some like enforcers. Let's get it.
The mayor says we have to do better addressing robberies and sex crimes so people feel safer in the park, known for making global headlines. City officials say drones will be remotely operated from park headquarters as an extra set of eyes, along with foot patrols throughout the 843-acre park. Listen.
There's a combination of public safety tactics that we're going to be using in that area. We don't want to give, we don't want to let the bad guy know what we're doing, because I know all news all the time.
We want to increase the patrols, put some more plainclothes in here. Cameras are important, and then we have the autonomous drones coming soon.
Cameras, of course, also play a role in security across the park, but it's just not enough. The drones will be used. Helicopters have been used by the NYPD. And of course, the extra foot patrols will always help in the situation. One thing is the common thread in most of these crimes, according to police. They say the suspects are all young predators. We're live in Central Park. I'm Kalarama, Pix 11 News.
The perps are all young predators. That's crazy. And that's not anything that anybody wants to hear. And if you're paying taxes, they got to do something about that. They definitely got to do something about that. That is definitely a partisan issue. You know what I'm saying?
Rise in crime at Central Park, and now the NYPD considering a new approach to try to make the park visitors feel safe. And good evening, everyone. 5 o'clock. I'm Bill Ritter.
And I'm Sade Bedouin-Wall. The number of robberies in Central Park has tripled compared to this time last year.
The most recent case in what's known as the crown jewel of New York City happened last night with cops.
So tripled. If they tripled, that's up 300%. They said in the last video it was 200%. Tripling is up 3. Shout out to Deneen. Facts. We got to ask this question. How do they have money to fund this extra police presence, especially when they spent all that money on the migrant crisis and they said that they were cutting the budget? Remember? How many people remember they were supposed to be cutting the budget? You guys remember that? Because everybody was pissed. You guys remember? And right, that's one thing that we noticed. They did not call them thugs. They called them migrants. Why you guys think that is?
Rise in crime at Central Park, and now the NYPD considering a new approach to try to make the park visitors feel safe. And good evening, everyone. 5 o'clock. I'm Bill Ritter.
And I'm Sade Bedouin-Wall. The number of robberies in Central Park has tripled compared to this time last year.
The most recent case in what's known as the crown jewel of New York City happened last night, with cops now arresting 3 teenagers for muggings near 59th Street and 5th Avenue.
The recent increase in crime so concerning, the NYPD now talking about bringing drones into the picture. Eyewitness News reporter Janice Yu is live in Central Park with more on the response. Janice?
Well, Bill and Sade, the mayor said earlier today that really something needs to be done because keeping people safe, of course, is the priority in a place like Central Park where plenty of people are around on a daily basis. And some of the people I talked to today say they are just disappointed to hear about these recent statistics. And they say really the only thing they can do is to avoid the park when it's dark or when there's not a lot of people around. And of course, be on the lookout for any suspicious behavior. On any given day, you'll find George Armston and Snickers at Central Park. And that's why he's especially disappointed to hear crime in the park is up 200% compared to this time last year.
If I see somebody that looks a little off kilter, I'll take the long way around. Okay. I don't look to confront anything or anybody. Okay. So, but I'm shocked by that number. I really am.
According to numbers from the NYPD, there have been 30 reported robberies so far this year in Central Park.
Where do you put the person at that gets that you're arresting? Where does the detainee go if this is the car that pulls you over? They have to call in backup just to put somebody in the back seat. Compact police car is crazy.
According to numbers from the NYPD, there have been 30 reported robberies so far this year in Central Park compared to 10 this time last year, 10 felony assaults compared to 7, and 31 grand larcenies compared to 30.
That's disintegrating our society. I mean, that's not right.
Early Tuesday morning, 3 teens were arrested for allegedly mugging 3 people in the park near 59th and 5th. According to police, one of the teens implied he had a gun. Meantime, police continue to search for a group of 15 to 20 kids tied to the mugging of a man on East Drive near.
Now, let me ask you guys this. These people that they're showing right here, if you think that these people are migrants, give me a thumbs up. If you think that they're not migrants, then give me a thumbs down. Shout out to AB Promotions. Make sure you guys show AB Promotions some love. Throw some flames, some radiation emoji, and some ducks in the chat for my man AB Promotions, funding the organization with the $4.99 super chat. Definitely appreciate it, bro.
Silence. I ain't got no money, pie.
Get the money, y'all. There are poor people around.
I'm rich, bitch. Cash rules everything around me. Queen, get the money. Dollar bill, yo.
AB Promotion says, New York tri-state is in trouble. These lawmakers do not know what to do. Insert Bill Duke. You know you done effed up, right? Facts. Now, here's my question, right? What do you all think would be solutions that would work to fix these issues, or even at least to decrease their occurrence? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section.
Kids tied to the mugging of a man on East Drive near Woolman Rink. One of them allegedly showed a knife, stole his wallet, and they all ran off. Alexi Lee frequents the park and also is a friend of that victim.
It was kind of upsetting, mostly because the kids there's a big group of them, but they're really young. They were out at 10:30 p.m., which is dark, and it's a lot of people say don't go to Central Park after the sunset, but it's not that late by New York City standards, so I think it was just kind of shocking.
Mayor Eric Adams on Tuesday acknowledged the troubling numbers and said the city
Appreciate you, DSA.
new technology to tackle the problem.
We could do a better job in using drones to police the area from the sky.
I mean, this is where we at. In New York City, they done messed it up so bad they're going to have drones flying around policing from the sky. Yeah, shout out to, if you guys agree with Patrick and Chameleon, throw some flames in the chat.
We could do a better job in using drones to police the area from the sky. And there's some new technology that we're looking at that I think is going to assist us. We roll it out when it's time to do so.
Now, as for the mugging that happened earlier this morning, they say that police say that no gun was found on any of the suspects. Remember, the suspects did imply, one of them did imply that he had a gun. They are looking for one other teenager who is believed to have been a part of this crime. Live in Central Park, JNCU Channel 7, Eyewitness News.
And also, just because they didn't find a gun at the scene, that don't necessarily mean that somebody didn't use a gun. You know what I'm saying? That don't necessarily mean that somebody didn't use a gun. Now, we're going to take a quick look, right? We're going to go right back into these crimes that are going on in New York City, because the interesting thing about this is that this is just New York City. This is just New York City. This isn't even all over the place. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Patrick. Patrick said they had fresh gear on too. Now, hide the money.
Get the money, y'all. There are poor people around.
I'm rich, bitch.
Hey, we got to make a new one that says, hide the money, y'all. It's undocumented people around. Oh, man, that's hilarious, man. That is hilarious. Now, we're going to see what your boy Eric Adams has to say, son. Let's see what Eric Adams talking about over here.
Until the NYPD deploys drones at the end of the month in Central Park.
Mayor Adams joins us now with the very latest. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Great to be here with you as well.
Starting off with the story that we just read, we're talking about that surge.
Eric Adams, like, ladies. It's not about what goes on during the interview. It's what goes on after, if you know what I'm saying. This isn't the fun part. This is just a prelude. What's going on? Eric Adams crazy, man. Eric Adams a wild dude.
Police presence in Central Park. Wondering how long they're going to be there. I know we might have a little error there covering your face, but talk to us nonetheless. The police presence there.
Hey, why they got my dude like that? Why they got why they do my dude E like that with the zoom error on top of his face?
How long will they be there? Because it may not be feasible. You're going to leave yourself vulnerable in other parts of the city. This happened when there was crime in the subway. You search the subway. So what's the plan with that?
And I'm so happy you stated that, because part of the problems we're seeing is a real decline in the number of people who are enrolling in the police department. And you have a limited number of manpower. What we have been good at doing at social events, special events, parades, we have been really minimizing the personnel to make sure we can maximize coverage when we need to deploy, like the subway in Central Park. And so the team is going to be there. Chief Shell has an excellent ability of knowing how do you go in, identify the problem, bring that large number of personnel there to identify and send the right message to stabilize the park. We know what Central Park means to us. It's a symbol as well as a safe haven for many New Yorkers.
I mean, you see this very large police presence, but how long can you actually maintain that kind of manpower? I mean, what happens a week from now, 2 weeks, a month? I mean, are we going to be having so many cops flooding Central Park? How long does this last?
No, not at all. It's called the surge. You identify when you're seeing a bumpy crime similar to what we saw in the subway system. Remember, we had that bump in January. We surged the police there, and we now have robberies at the lowest in the recorded history of our subway system. That's similar here. It's a surge. It's a serious presence to let those bad guys that may want to frequent the park send a real message that that's not going to happen. And then we're going to infuse new forms of technology. That's a lot of acreage.
Yeah. And see, he keeps talking about these new forms of technology. Now, we all know that what's the name of that AI company? Boston Dynamics? Is that it? Is that what it's called? They have those R2D2 looking things, right? The R2D2 looking robots that they have. So they have those, right? He said that they're going to use flying drones, right, for air surveillance. Now, when he's talking about this new technology, how much you want to bet they're talking about installing Shot Spotter across the 5 boroughs? If you guys think that they're talking about installing Shot Spotter across the 5 boroughs, give me a thumbs up. If you guys don't, then give me a thumbs down.
Some of it is off the beaten path, and we're going to see an experiment on how well drones can complement police presence as well.
Interesting. Well, I know that your message is that New York City is the safest big city, but this week alone, we've seen robberies in Central Park, a rape near Gracie Mansion, another rape on Coney Island. That indicates that crime is down. The stats indicate that. But your message to New Yorkers who are seeing this is what? Because this is giving them fear.
Something I've always said. You remember when I first came into office, when we were dealing with a 40% increase in crime and our homicides and shootings were up, I told the team and I said to the media, it's more than bringing down crime. People must be safe and feel safe. A lot of people criticize me for saying that, but that's the reality. And we know these random acts of violence, like the person who illegally entered our country, committed a rape in Coney Island.
Uh-oh. Now, is he going to address that? Uh-oh. Is he going to address that? Let me ask you guys this. Is it just me, or does it seem like the people who come to the country illegally, they commit one specific kind of crime in large amounts? And what kind of crime would that be? Let me know if you guys are thinking what I'm thinking.
Safe and feel safe. A lot of people criticize me for saying that, but that's the reality. And we know these random acts of violence, like the person who illegally entered our country, committed a rape in Coney Island. These random acts of violence, they play on our psyche. Yeah. But when you look at the stats, it's very clear. We're the safest big city in America. And we're going to continue to drive down crime. Double-digit decrease in homicides and shootings, the major crime categories. We know we have to continue to make sure that we stay the safest big city in America, even with these random acts of violence that we're seeing.
Well, Mr. Mayor, can you just kind of explain something to us? Because you were on this show with Bianca and I a few months ago when women were randomly getting attacked in Central Park. Yet we saw a massive show of force today. I mean, why does crime have to get so bad before there's a major response? I mean, why not a couple months ago? Why is it always feeling like it's damage control?
No, to the contrary. As I shared with you, we had a 40% increase in crime when we took office. And I gave you the stats on how well this city is doing. Always want to do more when it comes down to these random acts of violence. But I also want to be clear with New Yorkers. We don't have the police personnel that we've had years ago. We're struggling to fill academy classes.
Now here, okay, so now let's address that. Why do you all feel that the police enrollment is down? And I'm not sure if I necessarily buy that. I'm not sure if I buy that, but let's just give them the benefit of the doubt because I don't have a way to disprove it right now. So me not buying it doesn't really hold any value. Why don't people want to join the police department? Why are the numbers down?
We're struggling with our correction officers. We have code red there. We're struggling even with district attorneys. We have a real problem in the city and country and our criminal justice apparatus. And so we would love to have a police officer on every block. But the reality is when you're dealing with terrorist threat, you're dealing with thousands of protesters and marches, particularly after October 7th, and you're dealing with a host of other events. You have a minimum amount of manpower. You have to be smart how you deploy
Let me
it.
ask you something about that, because you're saying we may not have the staff, but we do have the law. When it's enforced, obviously it would make us feel safe. Because we're talking about someone like Daniel Martinez, an illegal Venezuelan who has gang ties, arrested 22 times, 22 crimes in 6 months, has never been deported.
Look at this. So, what about that? Like, these are all great questions. Why are people getting arrested 22 times and then getting released back into the public where they can get arrested another 22 times? I mean, to me, it would seem like that there's a problem that they really dropped the ball on. That could have been dealt with very easily. Right. I mean, are they going to come up with a 22 strike law? Or, you know what I mean? If you are an American and you can get 3 strikes and go to jail for life, if you haven't even become a citizen yet, there should at least be a 3 strikes rule and you get deported. If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down.
Amount of manpower. You have to be smart how you deploy
Let me
it.
ask you something about that, because you're saying we may not have the staff, but we do have the law. When it's enforced, obviously it would make us feel safe. Because we're talking about someone like Daniel Martinez, an illegal Venezuelan who has gang ties, arrested 22 times, 22 crimes in 6 months, has never been deported. Well, what happens then? Because you're arresting these people, but obviously it's not preventing them from committing more crimes.
I'm so glad you're saying that, because you have joined the choir. I've been singing this song for some time, and I actually wrote the song. When you look at who assassinated and killed one of our officers out in Rockaway, Jonathan was shot by someone that was arrested over 20 times. Here you have a person that illegally came into our country, committed a sexual assault act, was released, and came back and did it again. I am clear that we need to look at our laws that allow a person not to be turned over to ICE after they serve their time for a violent felon. I don't believe we should be allowing them to be a safe haven and continue to prey on innocent New Yorkers.
You know, speaking of the migrant crisis.
Now, see, I'm not mad at Eric Adams for changing his position on that. Because remember, there was a time when Eric Adams did not have that position. He didn't have that position. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Patrick Tyler. Eric Adams is a character, bro. Eric Adams is one of my favorite people to do videos about. Eric Adams is one of my, anytime Eric Adams get into some stuff, bro, let's get it. We about to go live about this right now. Eric Adams be having me dying laughing, bro. Dude is wild. You know what I'm saying? Eric Adams, y'all know Eric Adams is one of my favorite people. He one of my favorite people to do videos about. He one of my favorite people to roast. Eric Adams is hilarious. Eric Adams is walking, talking content. You know what I'm saying?
So, I mean, we've seen a rise in violence at many of the shelters across the city, most recently Randall's Island. Now, you said that this will not be tolerated, but what's being done to address that crime?
Well, we have several shelters like the Herc. We have Creedmoor, we have Floyd Benefield, we have what you're looking at on Randall's Island. You look at these locations, you're having 3,000 to 4,000 people located in a small area that they cannot do anything but sit around all day. That's a recipe for disaster. I've been saying.
So now, right, it's a recipe for disaster. So why was this ever a thing then? That would be the first. That would literally be like the first question. Why would this ever have been a thing? That is what people should be asking. Like, right, you finally get it after all the damage. Right. Why was this ever a thing? Why was this ever a thing?
And that for over 2 years now, that we need to give people the ability to work. We need to allow them to take the next step on their journey. We have been successful.
This is a ratchet mattress right here. This is a ratchet mattress. This mattress has bed bugs and HIV-laced syringes all over it. I wouldn't doubt. Oh God! And don't ever look at it with under a black light. Oh my God! Oh man! If anybody, they need to get that out of there. They need to get that out of there and put it inside of an orange biohazard bag. Don't even put that in a regular dumpster. Oh God! That right there. That's the. This is the trap/human trafficking mattress. You know what I'm saying?
Give people the ability to work. We need to allow them to take the next step on their journey. We have been successful in what we're doing. Our population in our care is now down to about 65,000 out of the 212,000 that have arrived at our city. And so we have to continue our law enforcement presence, send the right message to those small numbers who are violent. Overwhelming number want to go on with their next step.
Let me ask you a question, because the migrant crisis is now costing the city almost $5 billion. This is according to city stats. When you look at what we're spending on New Yorkers who need affordable housing, that's $2 billion. So right now we are not prioritizing New Yorkers who live here and need homes. We're prioritizing illegal migrants. What are you saying to people that are like, this doesn't work for our budget? And I know you said this before, that you do not believe that migrants should be added under that umbrella clause of the right to shelter. That's been held up in courts. Where are we at with that?
Okay, first let's go back. I'm not prioritizing migrants over New Yorkers, and I think that's a myth that needs to be dispelled. Migrants are living in tents with outside facilities. We have broke records on the amount of affordable housing we built for New Yorkers and invested $26 billion. No other administration has done that before. I can't stop buses coming in. Federal law doesn't allow me to do that. City law tells me I have to feed them 3 meals a day, house them, educate 40,000 children. City law also states
that's a wild city law. Like, and this is what I was saying. Do you guys remember when we talked about that right to shelter law? If you ask me, what we're witnessing with this migrant crisis and how things have been manipulated, especially in New York City, this is how easy it is to twist laws for your own advantage. This is how easy it is for you to twist laws for your own advantage. Because if you ask me, I don't think that right to shelter law was ever created for people who are not American. I would even go as far as to say it might not even be for people who are not New York or people who are not New Yorkers. But as a result of the circumstance, as a result of manipulation, as a result of necessity for political objective, well, guess what? We'll just we'll kind of change things around a little bit. We'll kind of change things around a little bit. And now, here we are. We have this wildly interpreted, unrealistic law that requires us to shelter and feed everyone. Yeah, I did a video on that. Shout out to Jay. If you got, I don't know if you guys watched the replays or not. There's a video, I believe it's the shorter video. I think it's like only 54 minutes that goes into the protests that are going on in Canada right now because people are upset about what migrant crisis there is doing to the housing.
Okay, first let's go back. I'm not prioritizing migrants over New Yorkers, and I think that's a myth that needs to be dispelled. Migrants are living in tents with outside facilities. We have broke records on the amount of affordable housing we built for New Yorkers and invested $26 billion. No other administration has done that before. I can't stop buses coming in. Federal law doesn't allow me to do that. City law tells me I have to feed them 3 meals a day, house them, educate 40,000 children.
Shout out to Lewis Knowles. What's good, bro?
That I cannot have them removed when they commit a crime. I can't break the law to fulfill the law. We need to look at these laws that have
which is being held up in court, right? So where are we at with the right to shelter? That law is being held up in court right now. So where are we at with that?
Well, we have been able to, based on what the judge's ruling, we've been able to put in place a 30-day rule, which has never been put in place before. We treat migrants different from longstanding New Yorkers. After 30 days, single adults have to move on to the next step of their journey. That was never in place before. We were able to get that settlement in court.
Really quickly before we go, Mr. Mayor, you're heading to the DNC next week to talk about immigration. I mean, this is an issue that VP Harris.
Now, Eric Adams is going to the DNC to talk about the immigration. Man, I definitely got to see that. We gotta check out that part. I want to see what he gonna say. That's about to be lit, because you know he gonna say stuff that you know he gonna say stuff that like none of the other Democrats are supposed to say, especially about immigration. Right. I want to see what he got to say. I want to see that part. That's the only part that I want to see. I want to hear Eric Adams talk about immigration. That's it. After that, I'm turning it off. I'm going back to doing what I'm doing.
Harris is not so hot on. What's your message going to be?
Well, the message to the DNC is more than just immigration. The things that are facing Americans in New York is affordability and public safety. Those are two huge issues. I think that we have to secure our border and come up with a real plan of allowing people to be disseminated throughout the entire country where we have population problems. But at the heart of it is allowing people to work. That's a precursor to the American dream, your ability to work.
See, the thing is that like Eric Adams, he's still BSing. He's trying to, bro, you got to just come straight down the middle. You give it up. You can't sprinkle that little nonsense in there no more. You can't do it anymore. You too far on the other side now. You just got to come right up the middle with it. You can't sit there and say the secure the border stuff and then all of that other stuff to try to lighten up the effect of saying secure the borders. Just say it, bro. Just say it. Just say it, or else they're not going to take you serious. You know what I'm saying? They're not going to take him serious if he comes like that. Let me see. All right, so let me see. Hold on. You know what? I don't think we need to. Let me see. Hold on. We're going to get rid of that. We're going to get rid of that. All right. Let me see something. Okay, yeah, you know what? And we just watched that. Let me see. Give me 1 second. Real quick, you guys, if you all haven't smashed the like button yet, take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, please take a moment, hit the bell. Subscribe to the channel. Let me just put these in order real quick, because I want to see something here. Okay, cool. All right. Now, check this out. Yeah, here we are. Now watch this. This is wild. Like, when I'm trying to tell you that this stuff is getting wild, like, this is the stuff that they're not showing. Shout out to Liberty Twitcher. Liberty Twitcher says Eric Adams knows he won't lose any voters for it, so he really doesn't need to be tough on the border. I don't know. I think Eric Adams might lose voters on it. Why do you think that he won't lose voters on it? I think there's a lot of people in New York City that are not happy about what's going on with the border at all. And I think as a result of that, Eric Adams knows that it could possibly cause him the votes that he needs for a second term, if he even wants a second term. Because to be honest, if I was Eric Adams, I don't know if I would even want a second term. As crazy as New York City is, how Joe Biden and the Democrats didn't have his back when he needed him. I don't even know, man. I'd be like, yo, man, I'm out. I'm not dealing with it no more. You know what I'm saying? So Liberty Twitcher says because he's a liberal and most New Yorkers are liberal, so that's how they'll always vote. That's not a sensible comment. Most people don't vote against their interests, regardless if it's for liberal or not for liberal. A lot of those people are turning more conservative, especially on issues like the border. No one's just going to vote for a package of issues because they're liberal. That is something that's insane that a lot of 4chan morons push, because they believe that they're the only people on the planet with critical thinking. No, who are the people? Let's actually talk about California. Who were the people that voted against their interests? Guess who it was? It wasn't liberals. Did you know that? When it comes to the liberal gun laws, do you know how they got there? They got there by conservative activists and a conservative governor. Yeah, let's talk about California. Who made the liberal gun laws in California? California's current condition is a result of past politics. Stop. Literally everything currently is a result of the past. Stop. I don't know about gun laws. What do you know about? What do you know about? You said that you know about liberals, right? You said that we see that in California, liberals pay zero price for things like failing to prosecute criminals. Liberals actually pay for a lot of things in California. California has some of America's most expensive cities to live in. Yeah, shout out to Win Loser Rug. Win Loser Rug says only LA and the Bay are liberal. The rest of California is conservative as AF. Yeah, what part of California are you talking about, Liberty Twisher? No, actually it's not. Actually it's not. Here's what's inaccurate. When we say let's talk about gun laws and you accurately say you have no idea what you're talking about. That's what's accurate. That's what's accurate. What's inaccurate is the assumption that you're in tune with reality. That's what's inaccurate. One of the most important conservative ideas is self-defense and gun ownership rights. And the reason why you choose to not have a discussion about gun ownership and California liberal gun laws is because you know that it was the NRA that supported Ronald Reagan in creating liberal gun laws. And both of those are your guys. But that's why you somehow don't know about that. But you know about these other things. And then when we ask you what city these other things occur in, you don't know what cities that these other things occur in. Yeah, and to say that we said that is also not factual. The statement was LA and San Francisco are mostly liberal. The rest of California is mostly conservative. Orange County is conservative. I got a feeling, don't live in California. I got a feeling that you probably live somewhere like Utah or Iowa. Shout out to Win Loser Rug. Win Loser Rug says, besides LA and the Bay, the rest of California is trying to prove to the world that they are conservatives. All of Central California is conservative. Yeah, here's the thing. Just because you said something doesn't make it a fact. As a matter of fact, something that you say requires a standard of double check that's 3 times the amount of anybody in the main chat. I don't know if you're aware of that, but now you are.
Today by New York Mayor Adams to do something about the migrant encampments popping up on Randall's Island. Exactly what Mr. Adams plans to do, that's yet to be seen. And where will those people go anyway? Well, that's the whole issue unto itself. Eyewitness News reporter NJ Burkett heard from the mayor today. He joins us live on Randall's Island with the very latest. Newt.
And right, Bill, as you know, the mayor has been very clear on this for months. You cannot camp out in New York City. As you can see behind me, there are migrants living in tents here on Randall's Island.
Now here's what I want you guys to see. How many people see how now we have the convergence of the migrant and the homeless issue? Yeah, exactly. Shout out to Win Loser Rug. Win, Lose, or Rug says, fact, bro. Orange County is conservative. Absolutely. And do you notice how Liberty Twitcher literally has named 0 cities? He's saying that the entire state. Yeah, looking at facts. Yes, looking at facts. Central California is more conservative, thanks to your Google search that you just looked and used to try to double check what we're saying. Now, where in general, but in general, overall, California is very liberal. That's simply a fact. If it's simply a fact, name 3 cities in California that are overwhelmingly liberal. And you live in Central California where it's conservative and probably don't go too far out of Fresno. And what's up with the gang violence in Fresno? Do the Bulldogs let you guys go other places? I don't know, man. I don't think you do. I don't think you get out of Fresno too much, man. They got some gangs that's associated with La M in there. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I don't think that you do. Where else do you go? You must not, because you think that everywhere else is liberal. I make assumptions on you based on the information that you put into the chat. And the information that you put into the chat is very limited and inaccurate. So if it's very limited and inaccurate, then one can make an assumption that you don't go too far beyond your driveway. Give us evidence that suggests otherwise. And we're absolutely supposed to make assumptions. That's one of the reasons why we have senses. We're supposed to judge what we see with our eyes. We're supposed to judge what we hear with our ears. And we're supposed to judge what we smell with our nose. Yeah, I'm going to make assumptions about you the same way you make assumptions about other people, which is why you live in Fresno. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Win, Lose, or Rug. Win, Lose, or Rug said Fresno is dead, stuck in 2005. Yeah, I bet. Shout out to Liberty Twitcher. Liberty Twitcher says everyone knows, which is not true because you don't know what everyone knows, but sure. And here you are calling people out about blanket statements while you're making one. Most areas of California is liberal. What is your evidence of that? Did you notice how California votes? Everybody sees how California votes. No, we should do things how I want to do them because this is my channel, and it's not liberal. You see, it's a democracy. It's a tyranny. It's not up for debate how I run my channel. What's up for debate is whether you're allowed to remain existent here or not. That's what's up for debate.
The city has been very good about this, moving tens of thousands of people out of the shelters and even out of town. But clearly that doesn't work for everybody. Why are you sleeping out here? His name is Amadou, and he lives beneath.
And also, when you decided to lie about your knowledge of the gun rights in California, that's when I started not taking you serious and I started tuning you out because I had already sized you up. So now it's free reign for me to just treat you however I want to treat you.
Beneath a tree on Randall's Island, surrounded by what little clothes he has and a pile of plastic bottles, his only source of income. Speaking in French, he tells
our guns. Now, it doesn't matter whether you're a gun or not, right? If you're a gun guy or not, right? That doesn't matter. Nobody cares. Guns are part of politics. And your lack of knowledge about a particular area of politics doesn't constitute a concession on anybody else's part other than yours.
Tells us he's been homeless in New York for more than a year. On the outskirts of a soccer field, migrants from South America are living in tents and drying their clothes in the sun after washing them in the East River. Still others are gathered outside the Randall's Island shelter, claiming they have nowhere else to go.
Now, check this out. Can you imagine how many diseases? Look at what they're doing as far as washing the clothes. Let me ask you guys this question. How clean is that? Is that a safe practice? Shout out to Sybil. What's good with a Sybil? Shout out to Win, Lose, or Rug. Win, Lose, or Rug says, I know of an organization right now that has been active in Fresno in regards to getting people to vote. Yeah, shout out to Deneen. They can play. You know what I'm saying? they can play. I can play too. You know what I'm saying? Liberty Twitcher says in the California legislature, Democrats control 62 of the 80 seats, and in the state Senate, they hold 32 of the 40 seats. That makes it a firmly liberal state, especially since liberals voted them in, which has literally nothing to do with if a liberal issue is causing issues and cannibalization on the state, that those people won't vote in a different direction to deal with those issues, which is the original premise of what we were talking about. Now you're just listing things just to list them, and you're not on topic. The original reason why you decided to say anything is because you decided to contest the idea that people won't vote against liberalism if an issue is causing them harm. If you're trying to contribute to the discussion, come to YouTube and hit where the dollar sign is in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. Other than that, enjoy the show.
Bottles, his only source of income. Speaking in French, he tells us he's been homeless in New York for more than a year. On the outskirts of a soccer field, migrants from South America are living in tents and drying their clothes in the sun after washing them in the East River. Still others are gathered outside the Randall's Island shelter, claiming they have nowhere else to go because shelter stays are limited to just 30 days. Administration officials seem determined to keep Randall's Island from becoming a refugee camp without forcing a confrontation.
We don't want to be heavy-handed. We don't want to be insensitive.
Now, here goes the question. Why do they not want to be heavy-handed? Why do they not want to be insensitive? And then they cut him off right there. Then they cut Eric Adams off after that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, facts. Shout out to PD that remains.
Talentless, scandalous, plebiscite, babbling.
Somebody make it make sense, man. Now, I want to ask you guys this question. Do you all think that there will be any type of effective solutions or any type of effective discussions that make any significant changes in these situations when it comes to the DNC convention in Chicago? What do you guys think? Let me know what you guys think. And shout out to everybody that's watching. I really appreciate it. If you guys haven't smashed the like button yet, please take a moment, smash the like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, please take a moment, hit the bell, and also please share the stream to your social media. We got 40 people watching, and we got 76 likes. We only need 24 likes to get to 100. I know we can, so please help us get there.
Breaking news, the NYPD right now dismantling an encampment on Randall's Island. Now, earlier today, they confiscated and removed several vehicles. This comes as Mayor Adams has promised.
Now, here's the question. How much is this costing people in taxpayer dollars? How much is this costing people in taxpayer dollars? I'm going to tell you guys something, and I'm going to tell anybody that comes across this channel something. This discussion that we have in this live stream right here is going to go over more facts, and it's going to go over more issues and more solutions to the issues than anything that gets discussed in the DNC conference. And you could come and watch this for free. If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down.
To crack down on issues near a migrant shelter there. Eyewitness News reporter Anthony Carlo is on Randall's Island with what we are seeing there right now. Anthony?
Well, let me tell you, just about a half hour ago, if you were here watching this whole thing, you would have had no idea this was going to happen. It was as if a storm rolled through. I want to just paint the picture here for you. This is the shelter itself here at Randall's Island. You can see some migrants now who are hanging out outside after both the NYPD and Parks Department police came through at about 3:45 and scattered everybody. And if we shift over here, you're looking at what really is an empty space. But this was full of people earlier, vendors, folks hanging out, folks living, and it was largely a non-contested removal and breaking down, really dismantling of all of it. The sun was barely up before the NYPD tow trucks were out. Wheels were strapped up, allowing only enough time to remove belongings. Police hauling the vehicles away as part of a raid near the Randall's Island migrant shelter.
You'll see unregistered cars, mopeds, stolen mopeds.
Chief of Patrol John Schell on Eyewitness News mornings at 10, saying the NYPD often makes these discoveries at Randall's Island. But
now check this out. You know how I've been calling those vehicles the mopeds. I've been calling them the migrant mobiles. We've been calling those things the migrant mobiles, and we've been associating those with crimes for how long now? For how long? They just now are talking about how those are used in the transport of guns and drugs. Seriously? Like, make it make sense. Shout out to Hurricane. I appreciate you, bro. Hurricane says for all the gems that you're dropping. I definitely appreciate it. Make sure y'all show Hurricane IQ some love for funding the organization.
How do you think that we fund this organization, huh? We're not exactly the March of Dimes.
Get the money, y'all. There's poor people around. I'm rich, bitch.
How do you think that we fund this organization, huh? We're not exactly the March of Dimes.
Right. Look at the car. Look, I want y'all to pay attention. Look at the cars. Are they giving these people debit cards for their cars too? Look at the cars that they got.
Asserting that his cops remain focused on enforcing the law, not singling anyone out.
We don't care about your status. We're here to fight crime, whoever you may be, wherever you hang out, wherever you live.
Right now, some migrants appear to be living right outside the shelter doors on Randall's Island. You'll find a makeshift barbershop, food stands, and police posted close to this big encampment.
Man, you can't make this up. Did y'all see the barbershop? What?
You'll find a makeshift barbershop.
You'll find a makeshift barbershop. And what's interesting about it is these people are in. This is the stuff you got to pay attention to. These people are engaging in all of this commerce, right? Now, what's interesting about it is if you engage in commerce, you know there's rules that you got to abide by. You got to pay taxes, right? You might have to pay taxes on your tips. All this business that these people are doing outside of these migrant encampments. Here's the question. How much taxes are they paying on their revenue? Let me know.
Food stands and police posted close to this big encampment. The Adams administration has said it will not tolerate encampments outside the shelter, just as it wouldn't on city streets. Carlos is here from Ecuador.
I'm waiting to have work authorization and be able to work and get out of here.
He says he's been living in this shelter for a month and understands why some of the migrants are resorting to vending.
I think it's because of that, because they need help. Sometimes we don't have anyone helping us, anyone sending us anything.
And we do want to show you some video now.
So now I hate to say this, right? They say sometimes we don't have anybody helping us, right? But when anybody else, especially when we talk about help, we get handout shamed. Nobody's handout shaming these people. As a matter of fact, they're ignoring the fact that these people are sitting here asking for help. They ignore these facts because these are indeed facts. We see them, right? Liberty Twitcher said, let's talk about facts. Here's some facts. And nobody calls these handouts. Why do you guys think that is? This is clearly a guy asking for some handouts.
That actually gives you an idea of the dismantling of that large encampment we just showed you. That happened at about 3:45. That encampment was here all throughout the day. And then the police department, the parks department, they rolled on through at about 3:45. They packaged some stuff up. They told people to scatter. All of the migrants and the folks that were hanging out outside of the Randall's Island migrant shelter basically had no other choice but to leave and move along, and they did. There are still some folks hanging outside here now. Again, I had a photographer out here.
Hey, shout out to John Guillory. Make sure you guys show John Guillory some love. Oh, and look at that. PD That Remains ended up getting it. Shout out to John Guillory and shout out to PD. Make sure that y'all show them some love for funding the organization and standing on business.
How do you think that we fund this organization, huh? We're not exactly the March of Dimes.
I'm standing on business. I'm standing on business. I'm standing on business.
Definitely appreciate it. Definitely appreciate it. And as you guys know, the membership is real cheap. It's only 99 cents. The membership on YouTube will definitely get you the ability to be able to watch all the videos immediately, even the ones that are yellow dollar signed or waiting to be approved for green dollar sign. If the videos remain yellow dollar sign and don't get approved, you can always watch them on Rumble, right? But the YouTube membership is for ease of convenience and for members only events and members only content. So it's only 99 cents. Definitely helps. You know what I'm saying? If not, we get it. But look at the members, man. That's all I got to say. It's more members than not. So you don't want to be we already we already part of a minority. You don't want to be part of another minority. You don't want to be checking boxes out here.
Here, he witnessed a lot of it. He said that largely it was peaceful. It was non-contested. Again, not a lot of what they really could do in response to the police. If we could bring it back to a live picture, if we have not already done already. But again, you can see a much different scene now, a much different scene from that story we just showed you of what the encampment looked like throughout the day. And of course, mostly cleared out. Some NYPD brass still on scene after their patrolmen and the Parks Department cleared it all out about 15, 20 minutes ago.
So yeah, so they, you know what I'm saying? They clearing out the migrant shelter. Or it's clearing out this encampment, this homeless encampment. You know what I'm saying? Let me see what else we got. Let me see. Now, here's my question. Getting rid of this homeless encampment. Do you all think that getting rid of that homeless encampment is going to decrease the amount of crime? Is it going to create a long-term improvement in the amount of crime? That's my question. What do you guys think? So now we're going to watch a couple excerpts from this press conference with your boy Mayor Eric Adams and see if he says anything of value. And then we'll see how consistent he stays when they go to the DNC.
Yes. The first question has to do with the encampments of migrants that are sprung up around the city. Specifically, though, the one on Randall's Island, which seems to have the imprimatur of the city because there are 2 porta potties that have been set up there. And I wonder, how is it acceptable that these people who have come here who have reached their 30 or 60-day limit are allowed to live in these encampments around Randall's Island, and there's also crime that exists there. My second question has to do with the backlog of tree complaints. There's over 20,000 complaints to 311 that have to do with either damaged trees or overgrown tree limbs that haven't been taken down, and people are complaining that they come down during storms and ruin their property. So what's the city doing about that, and do cuts to the police, to the Parks Department responsible for this backlog? So
yeah, and Camille will go into that, but a porta potty should never be an indicator that we accepting any form of encampments.
Hey, did y'all hear? Did y'all hear Eric Adams with the stuttering? Shout out to AJ. Did y'all hear Eric Adams with the stuttering?
Talentless, scandalous, plebiscite, babbling.
Tree limbs that haven't been taken down, and people are complaining that they come down during storms and ruin their property. So what's the city doing about that, and do cuts to the police, to the Parks Department responsible for this backlog? So
yeah, and Camille will go into that, but a porta.
Eric Adams crazy, man. Eric Adams crazy as hell, man. Oh man, this dude be hilarious, and he don't even be knowing he funny like that, man.
Camille will go into that, but a porta potty should never be an indicator that we accepting any form.
My man said, my man did. My man was beatboxing. Oh man, Eric Adams crazy as hell.
And indicated that we accepting any form of encampments, but I'm a big hygiene person, and it doesn't matter if it's used by someone who's sleeping on a park bench or someone who's walking by. I don't want people using our streets as toilet facilities. Camille, you want to go into what's happening at Randall's?
I think the question really is, why are these encampments allowed on Randall's Island? I spoke to some people there yesterday.
Now, do y'all hear who this is? Listen to the lady that's asking the question. Do y'all recognize that voice? That's that old white lady, that's that old blonde white lady with the really deep, boring, dry voice. I think she's from like Pix 11 or something. Y'all recognize her? You can if you listen real close, you can hear her voice to hear that it's her.
I think the question really is, why are these encampments allowed on Randall's Island. I spoke to some people there yesterday, and basically what they said is the police, there's extra police there since there was the stabbing over the weekend. But they're saying the police are telling them that if they're living with somebody in a tent or they have kids, they can keep the tents up. But if it's a single person, they have to take it down. I mean, I don't understand why this is okay.
Well, one thing you and I both have in common, I don't understand why our city is going through this. And what this team is doing is managing.
This dude crazy, man. Eric Adams, wild, man. What you mean you don't understand why that's... Oh, this dude crazy, man. He said one thing we both got in common is we don't understand why the city is going through here. Bruh, stop, man. Oh, man, this dude crazy, man. Eric Adams is going to try to run game on you anytime you get a chance. Eric Adams is going to try to run game on you anytime you get a chance. You got to always pay attention to every single you got to pay attention to every single thing Eric Adams say, or else he going to run that game on you, and next thing you know, nothing's going to have gotten done and you ain't going to have no idea what happened, but you the whole time thought that something big was about to happen.
I don't understand why our city is going through this. And what this team is doing is managing a crisis that's...
He gonna sit up there and say, I actually have no idea why this is going on. Bruh, stop. And then he made the face. Watch the face that he make at her after he say it.
Okay.
Well, one thing you and I both have in common, I don't understand why our city is going through this. And
oh man, this dude crazy, man. Eric Adams is fried. My dude Eric Adams is fried.
Okay.
Well, one thing you and I both have in common, I don't understand why our city is going through this. And what this team is doing is managing a crisis that's not sustainable. And that's what we're doing. And it's not always pretty and it's not always perfect. But we have managed a crisis that is beyond anyone's expectation that we will be able to manage this crisis. Camille, you want to go into it?
Sure, and thank you for the question. So certainly we will reach out to them to understand exactly what was communicated to you, but in partnership with the NYPD, Parks Enforcement Patrol, we continue to enforce the existing rules on Randall's Island against unpermitted vending, tents, and e-scooters.
Right, and this is what's so frustrating about Eric Adams. He knows that, and he'll say that. He knows that, and then he'll say that, and then he'll walk it back with just little sprinkles of Democrat talking points, just so he don't get into too much trouble, because he know he still got them cases pending. He know he still got them cases pending. So as soon as he says Border Patrol, he immediately pulls the sharp right, and then goes into talking about employability babble and all this nonsense. You know what I'm saying? It's like, bruh.
And we've prioritized educating patrons on the park rules. To the mayor's point, just because we have the 2 porta potties there does not mean that we are encouraging encampments. Our policy on Randall's Island is the same as it is across the city. For those individuals who are there, certainly we know with our 30 and 60-day rules that we continue to provide them with intensive case management. We have a sort of an ongoing opportunity for anyone who wants to move to another step in their journey for them to be reticketed. That option remains open to them. And certainly, as you know, over 65% of the 212,000 individuals that have come into our care have taken advantage of that and taken their steps to their next journey. So we are continuing to work very closely with the entire team that's out at Randall's Island, and the issue of the encampments will be addressed.
Leave the encampments there.
It will be addressed. It means that the same policy that we have across the city is the same policy that applies to Randall's Island. So we will have conversations with the folks there, understand exactly why they're there, who the individuals are, whether or not they are asylum seekers, whether or not they may be other individuals, and make sure that they're given the resources so they can move on. But the mayor's policy on encampments is the same no matter where you are in the city of New York.
No encampments.
Correct.
Does that mean you're going to get rid of these encampments?
I'm going to reiterate the same point that I've made. We are in the process of dealing with the encampments on Randall's Island, but the mayor's policy holds on the island as well as it does in the rest of the city.
And we got to communicate with the people, Marsha. We don't want to be heavy-handed. We don't want to be insensitive. It's about finding out what the resources are needed and navigating people there as we deal with this humanitarian crisis that we are facing right now. Your other question, yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy to answer.
So there's that. All right. So again, like I said, the thing with Eric Adams is he knows what He knows what the problem is. He knows exactly what's going on, but he's not willing to go all the way there yet. He ain't willing to do it yet. He's not willing to pull the ripcord yet. You know what I'm saying? He still thinks that there's hope. You know what I'm saying? He don't know he don't know that there's not. But you know what I'm saying?
You know, the migrant crisis that we're in, sir, and you've described as a crisis. You know, do you see a light at the end of the tunnel? Do you see that?
Yes. Like we went from 4,000 down to, I think this week we're around 700. That is a huge drop. I have to say there was a moment where I did not see that light, or that light was the train coming right at us, you know. But, you know, what Camille and...
Hey, man, I'll tell you, Eric Adams is hilarious. He said it was a moment where we didn't see a light, or that light was a train coming right at us. Eric Adams crazy, man. I'm telling you, man. Eric Adams one of my favorite people to do reaction videos to. He be saying some wild stuff.
And DM women, Isom and Molly, and Tim and the whole team, what they have done is just so important. And we did some hard choices, having people take the next step, the 30 to 60 day program. We were criticized for it, but I think that when people look back over this period, they're going to see that it was one of the most significant things that we could do to get down to 65,000 from 212,000. If we would have allowed 212,000 to stay in our care, that would have had a major impact on our budget. It would have a major impact on just the message we were sending, because people should not grow up in shelters. And so I do believe we're going to see, we're starting to exhale, our fingers are crossed, but we put in smart policies. And, the beginning of this operation, people, criticize and critique, why do you do this? Why do you do that? We were inundated in the beginning of this. And I think to be able to do what we have done sends a real strong message of the resiliency of the city. And we didn't do it alone. There were a lot of volunteers. I don't think New Yorkers who have stepped up are getting enough credit. There are people who volunteered on so many levels, like our principals. Our principals were giving clothing to these children. They were helping them in different levels.
Listen.
To these children, they were helping them in different levels. And so this is a real New York story, and we need to document this story.
Hold on real quick. Hold on.
Who volunteered on so many levels, like our principals.
Hold on.
New Yorkers who have stepped up are getting enough credit.
My man said, my man said credit. If you know, you know. My man said credit. That's all I'm saying. If you know, you know.
People who volunteered on so many levels, like our principals. Our principals were giving.
Hey, when you put the when you replace the T on credit with a K, it's official. Like I said, if you know, you know.
Folding to these children, they were helping them in different levels. And so this is a real New York story, and we need to document this story because it needs to be reviewed later as the years go on. But I do see it.
The worst is over now.
63,900 now.
63,900. I like those numbers dropping.
Are you saying, sir, that you think the worst is over?
It depends. It depends.
Yeah. Shout out to Black Spider. Yeah, I agree. Actually, see, here's my take with Eric Adams. I think that Eric Adams is irritated with the inconvenience of the migrant shelter or the migrant crisis, and he knows that the easiest way to deal with the migrant crisis is to actually deal with the border. That's why the first thing that he says when dealing with this is to deal with the border. But when it comes to being the mayor, he's trying to toe that line of saying what needs to be said while taking an approach that's compatible with the Democratic ideology, which would mean to basically create some type of pathway for citizenship and employability through the legislative system. You know what I'm saying? You can't do both. And see, what Eric Adams is trying to do is he knows which one he needs to do. He knows that it's secure the border. You know what I'm saying? He knows that he's a red dot surrounded by a whole bunch of blue dots. He knows that on this particular issue. He's trying to play the game. And when the issues are this black and white, you can't play the game. You can't play the game. That's why he always starts out with secure the border and then devolves into the little, Democrat stuff just to cover himself. But he can't start with that Democrat stuff because none of that is going to change the making people employable is not going to change the uncontrollable influx of people coming in the southern border. That's not going to stop that. The only thing that's going to stop that is going to be to turn off the valve. That's it. That's the only possible way. You know what I'm saying? You know Eric Adams, like, you know Eric, you see how big Eric Adams' head is? As big as that big jug head is on top of his neck, his head still can't contain all of that ego. You know he like being in control of all that money. You know what I'm saying? You know he got the Frank Lucas coat somewhere in a closet in that building right where they at, right there. And if it was up to him, all these right here, all these functions right here, these would all be at the Barclays if it was up to Eric Adams. You know that. You know that. Eric Adams, that type of dude. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Cassie. Cassie said, inundated. Texas border towns are inundated. NYC got the equivalent of 1/8 of what Texas border towns get in a day. Sorry, I know that you all are tired of hearing that, but damn, no, it's the truth. And the Texas towns are smaller than New York City and got less resources. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, no, I mean it's just true. I would agree.
No, I can only say I hope that the worst is behind us, but we're not out of the woods. I want to be clear on that. We're not out of the woods. We still have to deal with the small number of violent gang members that are in our city. We have to make sure we monitor them, and we still have to make sure that we're able to move people out of, this shelter type setting. And Camille and I were in Clinton Hill Saturday or Sunday, sitting down with a group of homeowners, and that was my old precinct. And that was a real impact to that community over there. And they want to help. They weren't saying that we don't realize this is a crisis for the city. They want to help, and we want to coordinate with them on how they could help. But these are impacts of these communities. They're impacting the communities, and basically disrupted the way of life of New Yorkers. And so we're not out of the woods. We're managing and moving people on to the next step of their journey. And I think that later in life, people are going to look back and see what this city did, and that's our goal.
So now check this out, right? Oh, and another thing with Eric Adams, when Eric Adams listening to his iPad or to his iPod, I guarantee you every single song is like a New York song. Like he listened to New York with Jay-Z and Rihanna. You know what I'm saying? He listened to New York State of Mind with Nas. You know what I'm saying? Listen to New York, Big City of Dreams. Listen to Frank Sinatra, It's Up to You, New York. All the New York songs are any song. Fat Joe and Ja Rule and Jadakiss, I'm from New York, New York. That literally is his entire. Any song that's about New York City, that is the only thing that's on his playlist. That's it. Shout out to AW1. What's good with it, bro? That's it. That's the only thing that's on his playlist. Now, check this out. We about to watch and see what happened when they ask him about they're finna ask him about these 10,000 unused hotel rooms for the migrants, because y'all know that 10,000 hotel rooms, that ended up being what was it, like $15 million of improperly spent money that people were pissed about? I want to hear what he got to say about this.
You're doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much. I'm sure you've heard about the comptroller's report on DACA. It was a very hectic time. We were dealing with this huge emergency with the migrant crisis. The report talks about how the city paid for nearly 10,000 unused hotel rooms, and that's taxpayer money. Can you talk about what was happening at the time where that was allowed to happen?
We don't have enough time to talk about what was happening at the time. Trust me, when we were getting these large number of people who were being sent from Texas and other parts of the country, at one point we were receiving 4,000 people a week, 8,000 every 2 weeks, 16,000 a month. We had a total of over 210,000 people that have arrived at our city, larger than the size of Albany, New York. We've all heard this over and over again. And when you get that call in the middle of the night, you need 200 rooms. A bus pulled in, you need 150 rooms. You need 300 rooms. You don't have time to call Motel 6. You better be prepared. And that's what this team did. And it is very comfortable to sit in the bleachers and, just be a detached spectator. But when you are running a city as complex as this, you have to be prepared. And that's what this team were able to do. Camille, you or one of the team, DM, Isom, y'all want to touch on this?
Sure. Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for the question. I mean, I think the mayor covered most of it, right? So certainly we know the numbers, we know what was happening at that time. The audit covered a very specific period of time, May to June of 2023, which was over a year ago. Before the audit had even started, we had already implemented many of the changes that the controller was asking us to make. And we'd also launched an open competitive RFP process to replace that contract. But again, can't underscore enough the unpredictable nature of what was happening at that time. Over 4,000 people coming in, we needed to make sure that people had a safe place to stay. I think that we have demonstrated that we have been able to do that. We have kept families and children off the street, which was the mayor's North Star. And we negotiated a flat rate of approximately $170 per room because there was price gouging that was happening at that time. We needed to make sure that we had hotel capacity to absorb the folks that were coming in. And we needed to make sure that we locked in a price for the city.
And remember what was happening back then? We were fighting in court because the demand of you had to be in a bed by a certain hour or night in the evening. So we didn't have the luxury to try to find spaces when it was coming at that rate. And I'm sure that, if you've never had to manage a crisis of that magnitude, then you're going to really just have some second guessing. And, we're continue to move forward. And the crisis has not gone away.
Eric Adams crazy, man. Eric Adams crazy. So now we're going to confirm this, right? I want to make sure that this is confirmed. The migrant crew is absolutely 110% the cause of the Central Park crime surge. All right. So now we see all of these mainstream media outlets that sit there and say that the migrants don't contribute to the crime. The mainstream media does not match what's being depicted in the local media. So now the question is, what's accurate versus what's not?
Police now say a migrant crew is largely behind the surge in crime in Central Park, and one of the suspects just 11 years old. Let's go right over to Stephanie Bertini. She's joining us live from Central Park with the new information. Now, Stephanie, I know you're covering this all day.
Look at this, an 11-year-old migrant. An 11-year-old migrant is one of the suspects. Imagine what they're going to do when they grow up. I want to ask y'all this question. If these individuals are doing this at 11 years old, my question for you guys is, what are they going to do when they grow up? What are they going to do when they grow up, y'all? And shout out to everybody watching. I really appreciate you guys. If you all haven't smashed that like button yet, please take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys have not hit that bell, please take a moment, hit that bell. All right, we need 23 more likes to get to 100. I know we can do it.
Police now say a migrant crew is largely behind the surge in crime in Central Park, and one of the suspects just 11 years old. Let's go right over to Stephanie Bertini. She's joining us live from Central Park with the new information. Now, Stephanie, I know you were covering this all day yesterday, but were you shocked to find out an 11-year-old was part of this?
I think many of us were shocked, and this is all what the NYPD is calling a young migrant robbery pattern here in Central Park. Concerning, Bianca, for people who live around the park, for officials, it's a public safety issue as well as a tourism issue. Yesterday, during our 5 o'clock newscast, I had a one-on-one interview. It was exclusive with the NYPD Chief of Patrol, John Schell. He promised cops would be out in full force, and that's what we saw this morning. Officers are ready to respond to any new incidents, they say. Meantime, they're also...
Yeah, I got to agree. Shout out to Catsy. Catsy says they are doing what they know. It will only get worse as they get older. Can almost guarantee you that they are already in a gang. Yeah, facts. If you guys agree with Catsy, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down.
Working open cases, including several robberies that just happened over the last few days, which we've reported on. Now, the command center is located by 7th and 59th in the south end of the park, in and around where the NYPD says the majority of the crimes are happening. What we're learning is that the string of robberies is connected to young migrant men living in city-run shelters. Shell telling us yesterday groups of suspects, up to a dozen young males at a time, are approaching victims in the park and robbing them. He says with whatever force.
Why so many males? See, these are the questions that we got to ask. Why so many males? Where are all these males coming from? Don't you guys think that that's a question that needs to be addressed? Why so many males, and where are all these males coming from? A lot of males, right? I thought it was a bunch of families. What happened to the families? We're not dealing with families, though. We're dealing with a lot of males. Why are we dealing with so many males?
They can. I'm not really surprised. I mean, they come here, they're desperate, and they don't necessarily get all the help that they were promised. And so, they get desperate enough to start doing, stuff. I mean, it's they're young kids too.
So cops are patrolling on foot, they're on horses, they're on bicycles, they're using drones, all to send the message that this will not be tolerated. In terms of the young migrant robbery pattern, Beata, what we're hearing is that there's at least 10 cases connected, again, here in the south end of the park.
All right, Stephanie, thank you for the update on that.
All right, so there's that. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at what Kamala Harris is saying. Okay? Now, we're going to look at this objectively. Okay? We're going to look at this objectively. I want you guys to tell me what you think initially when you see this headline here. Presented with rise in border crossings, Kamala Harris chose a long-term approach to the problem. Can we really afford a quote-unquote long-term approach? My question is, like, what kind of time frames are we talking here? If we call it a long-term approach, what kind of time frame are we talking about here? How long do you all think that this kind of situation can last? You know what I'm saying? President Joe Biden, watching tens of thousands of migrants from Central America reach the U.S.-Mexico border just a few months into his administration, tapped his second-in-command, look at this, to help address the influx, a decision that has exposed Vice President Kamala Harris to one of her biggest political liabilities. So now, if he tapped his second-in-command to help address the influx, why are we sitting there acting like she's not or has never been, like, referred to as the border czar? Like, I don't understand what's going on there. What's going on with that? In grappling with migration, Harris proceeded cautiously. She focused her time and prestige on boosting private investment. Look at this. In El Salvador, Honduras, and Guatemala, the so-called Northern Triangle. Her goal was to create jobs to help bolster economies and dissuade migrants from making the perilous journey to the United States. Now, let me ask you guys this. How effective were these measures? I didn't know that she gave money to Honduras, El Salvador, and Guatemala. That's money that could have went to the United States. Her idea of dealing with this is to give away money to non-United States, non-American entities. It was a decidedly long-term and a limited approach to a humanitarian crisis, and it has allowed Republicans to tie her to the broader fight over the border. While migration from the Northern Triangle ebbed, it surged from other nations, sparking an emergency at the U.S.-Mexico border, one that Republicans have aggressively sought to exploit at Harris's expense. Well, now, okay, so what did Harris do, though, to try to make that not a political liability on her end? What did Kamala Harris do to protect herself from the exposure of a bad border? What did she do? Did she do anything? A review of Harris's work on immigration reveals a record that is more nuanced than one presented by her critics or allies. It also provides insight into how Harris, who took over as the Democrat standard bearer when Biden dropped out of the presidential race last month, might tackle one of the nation's most vexing concerns. Now, this is something important, right? Because this is one of the reasons why people may or may not vote for her. Harris was never the border czar or put in charge of border security or halting illegal border crossings, as former President Trump, Republicans, and even the occasional media outlet have claimed. Where did the terminology border czar come from? Where did the terminology border czar come from? Instead, she was tasked in March of 2021 with tackling the quote-unquote root causes of migration from the Northern Triangle and pushing its leaders, along with Mexico, to enforce immigration laws, administration officials said. Well, now, how successful was she with that? Harris's backers say she demonstrated leadership by leveraging her stature to win investments that might curb migration years down the road. But we need an immediate solution to the issue, right? If you guys feel like we need an immediate short-term solution to this stuff, then give me a thumbs up. If you guys feel that we've got time for things going on down the road and all of that, then give me a thumbs down. Okay. She felt, and I think she was right, that she could do the most, that what she could do the most was help basically lead the effort to draw investment using the confidence that a relationship with the White House would give to investors, said Ricardo Zuniga, a former State Department official who specialized in Northern Triangle and who traveled with Harris to the region. Now, again, how many people know how much or what kind of investment Kamala Harris put into that area of the world? You know what I'm saying? I don't think that that's something that they were too transparent about. Critics contend that she could have done far more, but chose a less risky path, ensuring the problem only worsened. She was like, nope, I'm just root causes, said Mark Krikorian, executive director of the Center for Immigration Studies, which advocates for less immigration. Even if it worked, it's the sort of thing that takes generations, not just one term. I don't think that we have generations to wait. He also said there was no evidence that Harris pushed Mexico and the Northern Triangle nations to enforce immigration laws. Harris has defended her work, and her campaign began running a television ad Friday that said Harris, as president, would hire thousands more border agents and crack down on fentanyl and human trafficking. All right, that doesn't say anything about reducing the influx of people to the United States, though. You can hire a bunch of border agents and then turn around and not let them do anything. They got border agents now. One of the things that they complain about is that they're not allowed to do anything. What good is having a whole bunch of border agents if they're not allowed to do anything? Got like 17 people just standing there. Well, why can't y'all do anything? Because we're not allowed to because of the law. How did that help? You know what I'm saying? How does that help? And what is that supposed to help? How does that help? And what is that supposed to help? You know what I'm saying? Democrats have also blasted Trump for helping tank a bipartisan immigration bill earlier this year that would have increased funding for border security, including the hiring of new customs and border personnel. Trump has been talking a big game on securing the border, but he does not walk the walk, the vice president said last month in Atlanta. Later, she added, Donald Trump does not care about border security. He only cares about himself. Okay. Yeah, I gotta agree. Shout out to DSA. DSA says y'all have already asked this question and it has not been answered yet. Yeah. And more than likely, it probably won't get answered. You know what I'm saying? More than likely, it probably won't get answered. So now here it says immigration has long been an issue that motivates Trump and his base of supporters. And polls show, look at this, polls show it is among the most important issues on the minds of voters. Now, if this is one of the most important issues on the minds of voters, you would think, right, that this would be a priority. This would be something that Kamala Harris and Kamala Harris's team are taking extremely serious. Let me ask you guys this question. Are they taking this serious? would you all say that they're taking this serious? Shout out to DSB. What's good with you, bro? As a presidential candidate in 2016, Trump said he would build a wall along the border between the United States and Mexico and get Mexico to pay for it. Trump was not able to complete the project, and Mexico did not fund the part of the barrier that was constructed. The former president also used explosive language to describe immigrants, launching his campaign by suggesting Mexico was sending its rapists and criminals to the United States. While in office, Trump sought to tightly restrict asylum, which was challenged in the courts. This time around, Trump has promised to oversee a mass deportation of migrants who have committed crimes in the United States. Why are they saying that that's a bad thing? Why are they saying that like that's a bad thing? How many people think, is that a bad thing? I don't think that that's a bad thing. Especially if we're being specific and we're talking about criminals, right? Especially if we're being specific and talking about criminals. No, it ain't no bad thing. Migration numbers have spiked and dropped during both presidencies. Border Patrol arrests on southern borders fell in Trump's first year in office, then shot back up his next two, rising to more than 850,000 in 2019. The numbers plunged in 2020 during the coronavirus pandemic, before rising even higher during Biden's presidency, reaching a peak of more than 250,000 encounters in December of 2023, before falling below 84,000 in June of 2024. Federal statistics show. When Biden took office, he reversed dozens of Trump's moves on immigration, even as apprehension numbers began to rise. So now, why would you keep, if you see that there's a problem, why would you keep doing that? Why would you keep doing that if you see that that's a problem? You know what I'm saying? Somebody make it make sense. They're not moving the right way. Harris was put in a difficult spot. Everybody's put in a difficult spot. I don't think that, I mean, at least they claim that it's not. Being the president or the vice president is not really supposed to be an easy job, is it? It's kind of supposed to be a challenge, I thought. You never really are supposed to come into a situation that's, you know, already solved. Like, that's your job to solve problems, right? Harris received the migration assignment when the border crossings were rising, garnering considerable attention and leading to bipartisan calls for action. Chris Newman, an immigration rights advocate in Los Angeles, says Harris was put in a difficult spot. Now, when it comes to the migrant crisis, I mean, she ain't the only one that's put in a difficult spot. What about the people that actually got to live in those communities? You know what I'm saying? What about the people that actually live in those communities? She was tasked with developing a long-term policy framework rather than creating a short-term political performance project, said Newman, the director of the National Day Laborer Organizing Network. Biden and Harris had taken office only 2 months before, and Harris was under pressure to build her policy portfolio. When he was vice president, Biden had taken on a similar role on immigration. In 2021, though, Harris was dealing with an especially challenging situation given the lack of governing partners in the region. El Salvador's new president, Nayib Bukele, had a fraught relationship with the administration due to human rights questions raised by his crackdown on crime in his nation. The man, who was then president of Honduras, has since been convicted of drug trafficking. That's wild. That's a wild situation right there. You know what I'm saying? The headaches for Harris began almost immediately, validating the concerns of some on her team that it was a no-win assignment. So what are we supposed to do? Just, I mean, if something is too hard, you know what I'm saying? Like her not being successful at figuring out a solution is supposed to be okay. I don't understand what this article is doing here. What is this article doing here, guys? Harris traveled to Mexico and Guatemala in June of 2021, where she defended the fact that she had not been to the U.S.-Mexico border during an interview with NBC's Lester Holt by saying she hadn't been to Europe. And I mean, I don't understand the point you're making. She also drew criticism on that trip for warning migrants bluntly, don't come to the U.S. Harris decided to focus on bringing private investment to the region, tapping into a network of business and nonprofit executives using the prestige of the White House to signal Biden administration was backing this effort. Now, let me ask you guys this question. How many of y'all think that she's involved in some of these businesses? And I got to agree with Michael. Shout out to my man, Michael R. Michael R says the powers that be want her elected. They are pushing back a recession to next year to make sure that it happens. Yeah, they got all the investors in line. Facts. If you guys agree with Michael, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down. The work linked multinational companies like Visa, Nestle, Meta with smaller nonprofit Latin American businesses, all of which pledged to increase their investment or bolster their work with at-risk communities. Focused on private investment. Okay. The Associated Press contacted all the nearly 24 companies the White House touted as participants in the outreach effort. Now, I want you guys to, they basically tapped all these companies to try to improve the economic situation of these countries that have all of these migrants coming to the United States. This is something that they could do, right? Now, this wouldn't be cash reparations, but this is definitely something that would be creative that they could do and integrate into some Black American stuff that they choose to not do. Right? This is a creative way of dealing with things where taxpayers allegedly, right, aren't really paying too much because this is privatized, and we know that a lot of private companies benefited from slavery. But it's just interesting to see the creative nature of the workarounds that they'll come up with when they actually want to get something done. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to skip down here. The verdict is out on Harris's approach, all right? Because we don't need to read all of the details of what went on with the business. That's not important. While the Harris campaign and White House have pointed to statistics that show migration from Northern Triangle countries has dropped substantially since early 2021, there is debate over what is responsible for that drop. Senator Chris Murphy, a Democrat from Connecticut, said Harris and the administration deserve credit for the reduction because their efforts work. Now, how do we know that it was only her efforts that led to a sharp decrease in border crossings? How do we know that? How can we correlate that information? You know what I'm saying? Independent analysts, however, said that they were skeptical that Harris's approach was responsible for the dip. They said that the decrease was likely driven by factors, including the ascension of El Salvador's new president and his aggressive drive to combat violent crime. His government reported a 70% drop in homicides in 2023. Now, this is, again, remember, this is information that was deemed misinformation when somebody else said it, okay? Julia Gillette, Associate Director of Migration Policy Institute in Washington, said an investment can take years to alter migration patterns if it ever does. So my question would be, why was that approach taken if they know that we need quicker results? You know what I'm saying? That's the critique that I would have for this. You know what I'm saying? That's the critique. So there was one other article, but we're not going to talk about that article. It's already been 3 hours. We'll try to fit it in some other time. Actually, you know what? Yeah, we'll look at this. We'll look at this another time. All right. Maybe later on today, depending on if I got some time. All right. So shout out to everybody. I definitely appreciate you guys being here. Hopefully this was informative. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully you guys got some information that will be relevant going into the DNC conference. And immigration seems to be an issue that people are very concerned about. Hopefully this gives you some insight as to what kind of outcomes you would like to see occur based on the direction things are going with immigration and how that may affect you or people that you care about. All right. Don't go anywhere after the music. Stay in the stream like you guys have been doing. You guys have been doing a great job. Keep it up. All right. I'm going to shout out everybody who contributed to the stream. We got 13 stream sponsors. Shout out to everybody. I definitely appreciate it. Shout out to Brooklyn Queen. Shout out to Miss Nisi. Shout out to Alonda. Shout out to Black Spider. Shout out to Alonda. Shout out to Brooklyn Queen. Shout out to KO Kid Fit. Shout out to The Specialist. Shout out to my man Jay Cage. Shout out to AB Promotions. Shout out to Patrick. Shout out to Hurricane. And shout out to John. I definitely appreciate you all right? So don't move a muscle. Let the music play. It'll take you right into the next stream. Go in there, hit the bell, hit the like, drop a comment, and I will see you all then. And as always, ladies and gentlemen,
walk up in this life. Yeah, I'm really talking my shit like I'm really him. Hold up, look, walking this bitch like, hey. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like, hey. I'm really him. Don't believe me? Come and see me. Got 3 wishes from my genie. Now I'm on your local TV. Y'all on tour. Got demons. Say she wanna come and see me when I'm in a local city. I'm like, pause though. Please step aside so they can see me. And I walk up in this light. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like I'm really him. On God. Walk up in this light. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like I'm really him. I'm the realest from my city. That's on my knee. That's on Kiwi. That's on mamas. Niggas don't believe me. Come and see me. I been dodging all that face. All these niggas working broke, but I been getting paid. All that know me from the street. Flexing for what feature? That's like every other week. Talk behind my back. I kick my feet up, have a seat. Cause at the end of the day, all these watching me as I walk up in this light. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like I'm really him. On God. Walk up in this light. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like I'm really him. On God. Walk up in this light. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like I'm really him. Hold up. Look, walking this bitch like, hey. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like, hey. I'm really him. Hold up.